premierships are won when all the right pieces fall into place. Season 2010 has been a year of twists and turns, a puzzle.
Rebound, that hurt. I think he's done his hamstring.
We've seen great expectations that came crashing down. The puzzle proved challenging for some.
Matthew Knights, I wonder if that is it for him.
Spirits boiled over.
You know, it's worse the same players. They words for my players. Let's get that right.
And persistence just wasn't enough.
Can't will himself to get where he needs to get.
Still, we marveled at the magic.
Needs to be closer. He can't bounce it through. He kicks it through on the ball.
Believed in the fairy tales.
Odds will get a fifth. Wow.
Witnessed golden moments.
He has 12. The new hero has double figures.
Week by week, the puzzle slowly came together.
It's happening now.
Through 22 bone-crunching rounds.
Oh, Lewis.
On the long and winding road. The big players made big moves.
It's official. Collingwood is premiership favourites.
While the champs soldiered on.
Just the barrage of pressure and strength from the Cats.
These heroes lived for each moment, seized their chance, and gave it all until there was nothing left to give. Through changing times, the rotations, the controversies, they marched towards September. Some marched alone.
It's with disappointment that today I announce the termination of Jason Nakamanis' contract.
As September arrived, the picture began to emerge. The strongest prevailed. Long-held dreams came to naught, and the dynasty came to an end. Now there are just two pieces remaining. Two claimants for football's greatest prize. Today, the puzzle will be complete. For one team, all the right pieces will fall into place. This is Grand Final Day.
What a great way to set it up. That's what we've been waiting for, just to find out who's going to get their hands on the prize today. It's a good day in Melbourne. It's a great day for footy. We've had the most fantastic build-up to this grand final. Two Melbourne teams for the first time since 2000, and for Nick Maxwell, will he be the fourth living Collingwood premiership captain? Nick Revolt, he feels like it's his destiny as well. Well, the cloak name's synonymous with grand finals. David, his father, played in three. Travis's father and his brother Jason. Brendan Goddard, what a great player. And Dane Swan, the MVP for this year. We're expecting 30 plus from Swanee as we welcome you to the third tier here at the MCG. There's no place you'd rather be than here right now. And with Lee Matthews, Tom Harley and Dennis Cometti. And Lee, I might start with you. You're involved in 12 grand final days, 8 of them successful as coach or player. Must be a bit of a special day for you, mate.
Well, whenever I come to the MCG on Grand Final Day, I'm grateful that I've been involved at club level on a lot of occasions, win and lost, experienced both winning and losing, but just the envy that you'd love to be involved today, because you can't get enough of the Grand Final experience behind the scenes.
Well, Lee, looking at today's game, it seems to me we need to start at the beginning. St Kilda have got to slow Collingwood down. Would you agree with that? 7 goals in the first term last week. They've started so well. They're virtually starting a frenzy.
Well, it's just Collingwood, as you say, they just blow teams out of the water early in the game. And I think if St Kilda can keep the scoreboard low early and can keep in touch in the second half, then that's when their best chance comes. But that energy that Collingwood chuck into the game at the beginning, that's what St Kilda have to cope with.
And Tommy, fair to say the Magpies have got the balance right, attack and defence. This is their best percentage since 1966.
And that's a great statistic in saying that, because when we were building premiership teams, Mark Thompson was very adamant that to be a premiership team you needed probably a top 3 attack and top 3 defence. Collingwood have got that, so they're very well placed and have certainly got the balance right.
Things don't stay the same in sport very long. This time last year, Tom was getting ready as captain of Geelong for a second premiership in 3 years. Let's go down to the ground. I think Tim Watson is with Nathan Buckley.
Well, Bucks, you nice and relaxed?
Yeah, well, you can't win or lose the game now, and I think the coach's role is to keep things consistent and try and keep the players as calm and controlled as they can.
You've been here as a player. How differently does it feel to be here as a coach?
Enormous difference. There's no physical test for me out there today, and nor is there for any of the coaches, but the 22 players are obviously going to be tested mentally, physically, emotionally, and that's what grand finals do.
The preparation for Collingwood's been really different, a stark contrast to the way St Kilda have approached this week. There seems to be a real mood of confidence about this group of players too. Have I read that correctly?
I think outwardly it might seem that way, but I'm sure St Kilda are fairly confident in their chances as well. We haven't gone out of our way to try and look confident. We've just gone about it quite relaxed, our normal process, and we've believed that we've done everything as we normally would in a home and away game.
They've sort of hidden themselves away, where you guys have been very public this week, though.
Yeah, well, they've got a stadium they can lock up and we don't.
Is that the difference, is it?
I think it might be as simple as that. I mean, obviously, Gosh's paddock is... we haven't had any closed sessions at all for the year, so we maintained our normal schedule and St Kilda maintained their normal schedule, and really it counts for naught once the siren goes.
Again, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tim.
He'll be the coach in 2012, won't he? As we go down to the ground, and Nick Riewoldt, as he so often does, on the ground getting ready. A lot of expectation on him. Wayne Carey and Jonathan Brown in their pomp couldn't impose themselves really on the scoreboard in grand finals, but I think people are expecting Riewoldt to do that today.
Well, the point is you're playing against the best defence. As Tom pointed out, the best defensive team usually gets to the final day. So therefore, both teams will defend really well, which makes it really hard, therefore, the opposition forwards to have really, career best type games.
Well, a question for Tom. I mean, how much time do you put in as a defender for a guy like this, even if he's not your man, Tom?
Well, I think that's the really important point, Dennis, that they'll have a direct match-up. I'd expect it would to be Preston Como close to goal, Reid further up the ground, but Nick Maxwell looms as a really important player for the Collingwood defence. He's got that ability to zone off and control the defensive structures for Collingwood, so there could be some great skipper-on-skipper clashes.
We see Nick Riewoldt in the forward 50. That's where Collingwood have to control him. Let him get his kicks up in the wing, but don't let him run, get space in his forward line.
Looks like Presty might be playing too. He did look as if he had his game face on, didn't he? They've got a bit of history, these two teams, but we do have to go back 44 years to 1966 when it comes to a grand final.
Who will make history today?
Great deeds of the past certainly add to the moment today, don't they? It's been a wonderful week in Melbourne. Two big clubs. They're both due. They are really due. I mean, the Saints 44 years since their only one. And for Collingwood, well, that cloak name's a famous one, isn't it? And they have won just 3 of their last 20 grand finals they've played in, going back to 1937. Both teams would feel like it's their moment, but for one of them tonight there will be ecstasy, and for the other, agony. And that's why sport's so good. The stakes could not be higher. We believe that Presti's not going to play. The Saints, we still don't quite have their final lineup. Brad Johnson joins us. Jono, I can get away with this with you. 5 preliminary finals. You didn't really experience this day. Recently retired. You must think, wow, I wish I had.
Yeah, of course I do. There's no doubt about that, Bruce. It's just it's an amazing day, and it was a dream, obviously, to play in a grand final and be a part of the whole celebration with the week. Didn't come my way, so I have to move on in life, don't I?
You do, and we'll find out what you think about these two teams. You've recently played them in just a moment. Brad Sewell played in a winning Hawthorn premiership team 2 years ago. He's going to take us up the race.
Boys have just had their final address from the coach, starting to really get pumped up. Probably had a couple of quiet moments in there as well, a few high fives, a bit of hugging just before they go into battle. Walking through the race here now, it's so hard to describe this sort of feeling. I'm getting butterflies now just thinking about it. You come around the corner, first thing you do is actually look up. You see the stand, the Great Southern Stand here right in front of us. It is packed. There are people everywhere. It takes a little while for the roar to come, but as you come through, the people over the race, hanging over, screaming out your name. You look up. For us, there was massive big banners. There's a massive big Geelong banner. There's a massive big Hawthorn banner. And once you get up here, you really start to soak it up a little bit. I got to this point in the race and was beaming, absolutely grinning. Got to the point after the game, Stewie Jew said, couldn't believe the smile on my face. You stand at the top of the race, you collect yourself here. Maxi, Rui will lead the boys out. And that raw energy, that feeling, that intensity they're going to get from running through the banner, the crowd will go absolutely bananas. It will be erupting. And this is why we play footy, for this very moment right now.
Making you feel just a bit worse, John, but how well done.
Thanks for rubbing that in, Sawley.
Brett, we've heard that St Kilda no change. Baker is playing, Presti is out, Brown's playing. You've played these two teams in the last 3 weeks. Collingwood beat you by 62. St Kilda beat you by 24. Simple mathematics.
Yeah, well, it sounds that way. It's quite not that simple, Bruce. But look, at the end of the day, I think Collingwood just played. They both played high quality footy, but Collingwood just played theirs for longer in periods of games, and they'll use that certainly today. They'll start well and they'll get on top of the Saints, I think, early.
Are we surprised at the St Kilda lineup as we take a look at it? I mean, McAvoy's not going to play as it's turned out.
Well, that's just a massive change. They've normally played Kaczynski, who's 200 centimetres almost as a big forward, and Gardner and another 200 centimetre ruckman. So leaving the ruckman out and bringing Baker in, who hasn't played for 13 weeks. One, it's a change of their style, and secondly, a big change of personnel.
And like all big games, this game is going to be won in the middle of the ground with the contested situation. Joey Montana is an interesting player. A lot of people see he's the outside link man. He's the #1 contested possession player at St Kilda. Had 16 last week against the Bulldogs. And Lenny Hayes obviously really stiff to miss out in the All-Australian. I'll tell you what, he'd be captain of any other club, I reckon, which is absolute testament to Nick Riewold's ability. But had 18 contested possessions in the grand final last year, an absolute star.
The other thing he did in the grand final, he imposed himself in the first quarter, Hayes. 11 disposals, I think 7 kicks and a goal. They need somebody to do that today, St Kilda. They need to get a quick start, don't you think?
Oh, without a doubt. The way the Pies, their last two games in finals have been super the way they've started. So, look, Saints have to manage that early, and when they do, they should get some run.
It often happens in St Kilda games that they become very low scoring. Their preliminary final against you guys was, 3 to 4 goals at half-time, and that's what St Kilda want. They want a really low-scoring game, and then I think they would fancy their chance of wearing Collingwood out late.
And Collingwood have been just so brilliant, haven't they, at the start of match. They've only been behind 3 times in 24 matches at half-time, and the biggest margin they've been behind this year is 8 points in any match at half-time. So they really have got that fast start. So no Presti. And Brown back in, so just the one change. So the one change, Davis in for Goldsack for the team that demolished Geelong last week.
It was really interesting. Prestigiacomo's not going to play, but that was a like for like. Prestigiacomo, Brown. The Davis one's the interesting one. I wouldn't have minded seeing Goldsack play. I think he plays a really important role, and to give Nick Maxwell a bit of spoil, take a bit of help, obviously there's the 77 spoils, reads the play so well. He's going to provide that hole filling in front of Riewoldt, but Didak has been, Davis has been really important for Collingwood. Mick Malthouse talks so highly about his pressure inside forward 50.
Well, O'Brien has been the player that the opposition defensive forwards have been trying to shut down in this last period, of which it enables Maxwell to get clear. So that'll be something St Kilda will be.
And Heath Shaw is the other one who's probably benefiting a little bit from that, because now he's getting the run and drive going out of the defence.
I don't think you can have 3 tagging forwards.
No, you can't.
1 maybe, not 3.
Who would you go, Lee, if you had to tag one of those Collingwood defenders?
No, I think O'Brien, as teams have been doing, but just got to be aware of whoever's playing on Maxwell. You almost got to stay on Maxwell, because he reads the play so well. His opponent often runs himself out of into a worse position. Maxwell just works off him.
Well, the one thing we tried to do a month ago was keep him in the corridor. Yep. At least make him contest one-on-one, and then see how things unfolded. Look, he handled that well. He seems to be doing that lately, but at least to put him in a position to compete.
Well, true to form, the Saints were late for the parade yesterday. They're late coming out. They're keeping us all waiting. But we'll be going there shortly. Let's hear from Dane Swan before that.
I was never the best junior, and I never won best and fairest as a kid, and never made the Vic side. I never represented my state or anything like that. Didn't go to draft camp or anything like that. So I've never thought that I would get to this level and sort of be playing how I'm playing. I've actually won a flag at every level in juniors, TSC Cup, VFL. So now it's just, that has to be done. Now I have to win one at the top level.
So both the teams obviously out. I thought Bucks thought he was playing for a moment. He was on his toes, wasn't he? Collingwood.
Well, for those unfamiliar with the AFL, this is 80 minutes before match time. Normally this kind of warm-up is 40 minutes, but on grand final day, all the timings are different. It was interesting. Collingwood jogged out, St Kilda walked out. You've got to be so careful not to get too hyped up 80 minutes before the game.
Let's go down to ground level. Ross Lyon, the coach of St Kilda, with Tim Watson.
Well, Ross, how'd you sleep last night?
I'm not sure whether I slept or I was hallucinating or dreaming. I thought, did I sleep, or I was thinking a lot? It was a bit weird, actually, but yeah, I feel pretty relaxed. I stayed in town last night, just at the Crown, and I got 3 under 5. So look, just recapped the notes and prepared, final sort of, notes to the players, and just executed that now. So I'm relatively relaxed at the minute.
Your first football thought this morning?
The weather.
Was that going to change your selections in any way?
No, not at all, but obviously with our power forwards, they've got a couple as well, but I think over the last 2 weeks in particular, when it's been dry, we've been better. So, whereas last year we felt we played okay in the wet. I think the showers are coming late, but, you just want a nice, as a kid, you dream of a dry grand final, don't you?
Yeah, you do. What about Presti? You know that he's out of the side and Brown comes in. Did that surprise you in any way?
Not particularly. We knew he'd be up against it. The mail gets around that he actually got a little bit of a sore groin after the session, and that Brown would be playing. So, but because it's that end of the ground, it's a bit less stressful, really. I think Rewald thinks about it a bit more. I think Reid and Maxwell will sort of work Nick together because he's bigger tank, and maybe Brown to Kaczynski.
What about your ruckman situation? You've only got Gardner today. Does that mean that Blake goes with Brown wherever Brown goes?
Not in particular, no. We've got a few things lined up there that I don't want to really give too much away. So, look, there's times where Blake will clearly take him, but Kaczynski can go through there, and we've got a couple of other options that might be exciting for the team.
I've titled you the finals Grinch this week. You haven't been prepared to talk about a grand final. You've been talking about round 26. Do you send, hypothetically, you're winning the game late in the game, do you send the runner out to tell the players it's no longer round 26, it's a grand final?
Yeah, I think they see through the round 26 somehow already. So, look, we just use that as a term that the preparation stays the same. It's a continuum of the season, and we just feel if we prepare any more for this week, round 26, than we did round 1, we're taking shortcuts. So it just helps the players that we clearly acknowledge the grand final and all the trappings and stresses that go with it, and the prize at the end of it. But reality is we had to prepare in the manner that we always do and get that done, and we feel we've done that. So even at times this morning I'll check myself and say, well, it's just another game,
Well, good luck, Grinch.
Thanks, Stevie.
Great stuff. Taking 1 quarter at a time, I reckon, Ross. Not one game at a time, but 1 quarter at a time. And he talked about the doubling up on Nick Rewald, didn't he, with maybe the Reid and Maxwell situation. There's a good reason for that, because nobody works harder or gut runs like this big bloke, Lee, do they?
Absolutely, and we've seen it all year. In the first final, Tom, we'll talk over this freeze game. This shows a great example. Harry Taylor is his opponent. They both fall to ground. I don't reckon Rewald's opponent should be this far up the ground.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because when Rewald gets this far up and goes back, no one of his size and shape can go with him.
And I think you just see down at the bottom of the screen there the recovery of Rewald. He got to his legs first. Speaking to Harry about this game, it wasn't so much the total distance. It was about 13.5 Ks for the game, but it was the amount of time spent at a top speed of over 24 metres per second. And you see it there. Nick Rewald is really running as hard as he can back. Harry Taylor calling for Josh Hunt to help across, but it's just a huge, huge end rate. I think you let him go, have some plans further up the ground, but close to goal is where he does his damage.
Absolutely. His damage for Collingwood is to get marks and kick goals within that goal-scoring range. So whoever plays him as a Collingwood defender, I wouldn't be worried too much if he leads up to the wing and take marks, but don't let him get behind you.
Lee, you think Jones will get Didac. How close to goal should Didac play, do you think, Jono?
I think he should play, centre forward, obviously 70 out from goal, because his dominance in that area will be super. He uses the ball, rarely turns it over. So I think that's a key to obviously, getting enough scores on the board.
But one of the things I think that's happened, as the high rotations and there's more midfielders, I think Didac gets relieved of that forward pressure by being up and being a midfielder. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts in the centre square. And I think that means he sort of gets around the footy a lot rather than just playing forward third and potentially getting locked down by a defender.
And can Stephen Baker do a 100% job today, do you think, physically?
Oh, look, I mean, he's going to have to. I think it's as simple as that. But I don't think he will get a didact-type matchup for the duration of the game. He would have prepared himself exceptionally well, but that's a huge task.
Can I ask you guys the question, is it possible? How can you not play for 13 weeks and be really good in a grand final?
You go in with that training confidence, I suppose, and he didn't have enough confidence that he's done enough work to prepare, but biggest day in the footy calendar, you'd know Tom better than anyone. He's going to blow very hard in the first 10 minutes. Hopefully he finds his feet after that.
Such a key Goddard, as we saw Cloak a moment ago. Lee's talked about the fact that Goddard's an outsider and an outside player at times, but he's so penetrating. He is the ultimate utility footballer, isn't he?
He's such a good, long, penetrating kick. So if he gets the ball around the middle of the ground, then he can kick the 60-metre pass.
And the one thing we found last week, when the ball was deep in their defence, he'd roll back, take someone else's man, and then bolt. And as a forward, you had to choose whether to go or stay, and he really did control it quite well.
For his sake, I hope he doesn't look like he did last year at the end of the match. he had the mummy bandages on, the broken collarbone, but he still had Montagna. We've talked about his ability to win hard ball, and he's also a running player who can kick a goal.
He's got the perfect balance in his game. He had last week against the Western Bulldogs, he had 16 contested possessions, 16 uncontested possessions. I think Dale Thomas seems like the matchup for Lee Montagna, that they can play both at inside and outside for their respective teams.
Will Collingwood let the Saints chip the ball around in the back half today, do you think?
Well, I don't let anyone chip the ball around in the back half. They certainly won't let St Kilda to do that. And that's one of the things, when you get to pull in Collingwood's forward line, the Collingwood press makes it impossible for you to have a free target on the way out.
Definitely. And last week, St Kilda actually brought the ball back through the corridor more than what we sort of expected. So, they'll try that again today and try and get the ball on the 45.
And if St Kilda are to control the tempo, the really important thing is they gain meterage. They can't afford to go backwards and sideways. They've actually got to use the ball to go forward and make the Collingwood forwards who play as defenders accountable to the fact that the ball is at least moving forward.
Well, we're not too far away from the pre-match entertainment as the build-up continues, and over the years Toyota, great supporters, have had some great football moments. They've created their own legends. I wonder what they've got in mind.
G'day, my name's Dave and this is my mate Steve. Hello. Steve Curry from the castle.
Dave, don't...
Well, you are from the... It occurred to us that over the last 12 Legendary Moments commercials that we've done...
6 or 7 years.
6 or 7 years of them?
Yep.
6 of them have come from grand finals.
Here we go.
Oh! I am going to be Kevin Barr.
Come on, grab the ball! Six, big one! Crunches in from the side. Dave?
All right, so 6 of the 12 moments...
50%.
50% of them have come from grand finals. So today when Collingwood play St Kilda... There could be a legendary moment come out of today's match.
I've worked out what it is. I know what it is. What? It's, okay, Dane Swan, 38 possessions to half-time. Does a hammy going down the players' race at half-time. Mick Malthouse calls me up, puts me on, I win the Norm Smith. Oh, g'day, Mickey. How are you? What's up? You're kidding me. It's Mick. Mick, which Malthouse? Yeah, we'll be happy to. Midfield, winning goal, Norm Smith, sweet as. Alrighty, mate. You are. You hang up. No, you hang up. See you in the rooms. Great, just got a game. Second half, Granny. Start now.
Just you?
Yep.
It's an unlikely moment. That'll be a Toyota unlikely moment.
That's what makes a moment more legendary, the more unlikely it is. And that's probably about as unlikely as it gets.
Mick Malthouse is going to call
me up. Got my number. We spend most summers together in Yarrawonga. You hang up. Yeah!
Terrific pre-match entertainment. Scott Pendlebury getting himself ready. His explosive opening term really turned the Cats inside out. We know those two guys on this day, Paul Acuria and Mickey Malthouse, they embraced, didn't they, in 03 in a losing team. Leon Davis gets his chance. Missed out last week. It's his 3rd grand final. And they've been out in the car park. The Saints doing their warm-up. Of course, it's a different setup here on grand final day. They go out on the ground much earlier. And there are the Saints, those last-minute moments for them. They've been there and not quite done it. They got so close last year, but very much a similar team this year. Well, both Tom Harley and Lee Matthews caught up with the captain and the coach from both St Kilda and Collingwood.
So, Ross, 2nd consecutive grand final, the familiarity been helpful?
There's certainly, I felt internally myself that I almost haven't, not acknowledged it, but it just feels normal. You know, last year was obviously, gee whiz, we've made it, the grand final, and certainly we know that's not enough. And the week's been really normal, and the player group have commented themselves how it just feels more natural for them.
Mick, is fear of failure a motivational force for you?
Absolutely. The biggest fear is failure. That fear of failure pushes you through to re-investigate your structures, your commitment to where your players play, how they play, etc. So you get drawn away from the fear into the process.
You must have great faith in Stephen Baker.
Yeah, it's footy character. I mean, I've heard you speak about it a lot, and that doesn't disappear. Yeah. So I think whether it's 6 weeks or 13 weeks, it's negligible. We've trained him incredibly hard, and he's an animal on the track, and we've done a lot of competing, a lot of fierce, a bit like the 80s, a bit of one-on-one, a lot of that. Yeah. So all our science, sports science says he can play.
He's been a really strong part of the rebuild of the whole footy club, I suppose, from where we sort of came from, and our ability over the last 5 or 6 years, I suppose, to be consistent performers in the finals, albeit we haven't got the major prize yet, but he's been a major part of that journey, and to have him running out with us is a really great bonus. You certainly know from Stephen Baker what you're going to get out of his performance every week.
24 hours out from the bounce, what's the overriding emotion?
Oh, yeah, if you had said to me what's going to be like at the end of the game, that's a really good question. Are there many emotions? I guess coming through the parade, you just think, oh, we owe so much to so many people, because how extraordinary was the crowd? That was fantastic. The 25 players we've picked, 22 plus 3, the emotion there is, I feel so good for the boys. It's rare that you have so many emotions. I feel at ease, which probably the first time for the week. So I think probably because the job is now virtually out of our hands. It's now in the players' hands to relax this afternoon and just go forward. So
long week of hype. When you finally get to the coach's box, it's almost a relief that you're now at a game of footy. Yeah, no doubt, Lee. Once that ball's bounces, that 2 hours, I get there 2.5 to 3 hours before the game, but by this stage of the year, we know exactly how we play. We've had all the meetings, and we did a what-if meeting today with all the coaches. Went for an hour and a half. Yeah. And that's something we've added in comparison to last year, rather than me sitting on my own going through it. We went through as a coaching panel, wrote the things down, so when certain events happen, we'll know, we've already discussed it and we'll go to it. So certainly we would like to be alert and coach well, and more not do anything to upset the apple cart as opposed to do something to really influence it the other way.
Nick, your coach has publicly lauded your leadership style. What do you think are the really important ingredients to leadership?
I suppose for me, leadership, it's not about dictatorship or anything like that. I want everyone to have a fair say. So everyone from the boot stutter to someone working in marketing, the receptionist to the senior coach, I think that everyone deserves a right to have their say. For me, it's giving everyone an opportunity to have a voice. Does last year's loss have any significance going into today's game?
Well, past performance we know counts for nothing. It's more about probably the last month and the form that you carry in, and we've been in pretty good form, but it's just, you'd like to think at various stages of the game, if it is tight and it is close, that you're able to think about the hurt and think about the disappointment from the year before, and it's not something that you want to experience twice.
There seems to be so much self-belief and also group belief. Where do you think that's come from?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got great belief in them, and I think that comes from Nick's a very proactive and positive person, and along the line we've got 5 or 6 players that have gone into that leadership group, and they all seem to have this desire to succeed, but also they're quite compassionate with their teammates. They're quite humble with their results so far this year. They're driven unbelievably towards what they want to achieve. And Nick stated that last year, and it would almost knock me over when he came out and he said, we're going to win a premiership. And I thought, I've never said that in all my football career. I've wanted one, desired one, but he had the intestinal fortitude to come out, and he's just gobbled me up, and the whole group has just carried me along really as a coach, so therefore you can't help but be proactive and positive with them.
Mick, the fact that your coaching career is coming to an end, has that played any extra motivational role in the build-up to this game?
Tom, I would have thought not until this year, and I have no doubt that the nerves that kicked in 3 weeks ago were a direct response to looking at it and thinking, it's like a player, he doesn't know when he's going to retire, but he knows at some stage he's got to have to retire. As a coach, you think, I want to keep going, but there's no definite time span unless you've been told, unless you've been given the wink. But I have. So that, I think, has had a direct response to my, you get agitated because you just know you want it to happen quickly.
What's the sort of one thing you'd like your players to be forced into the front of their mind?
Yeah, the front of win the ball.
Just simple as that?
Yeah, win the ball. And I think that we did that really well last year, really. We got our hands on the ball and made the opposition defend, and we'd like to do that.
Have you thought about your final message?
No, I haven't really, no. I'll probably have a brief thing tonight, but look, we don't go over too many things differently. We know what we need to do, and if we do them, we win.
It's something that's pretty consistent right the way through. We all know that we've got a role to play and a job to do, and it's 2 hours of footy war, so it won't be too dissimilar from anything in the past.
One last one. What does the name Tony Shaw mean to you?
Tony Shaw to me, jealousy, because I'd love to join him and be in the same position he was 20 years ago.
Fascinating stuff, and the Qantas A380's overhead with a special message today. We just love the footy. And a reminder about 7 Mate, the new channel, finally here and starts after the grand final on channel 73. So there's the sign under the belly, and don't we all, on a day like today, love the footy and can't wait for this match to unfold. We're not far away. What about leadership? A lot talked about there. Nick Maxwell and Nick Riewoldt today.
I mean, the on-field leadership is critical. Nick Maxwell has become an enormous leader over the last couple of years. He's become from just like an average, a good player, but a fantastic leader. We go to St Kilda. Nick Riewoldt is the champion player leader. The pressure is on his shoulders in his own performance as well, whereas Nick Maxwell can look outside his own performance to try and get his team performing well. But you always need great leadership for great teams to get to grand finals.
All in front of those two men and all in front of the two teams and their hundreds of thousands of fans. The teams will be coming out in just a moment.
The city of Melbourne under cloudy skies, and this is where the heart beats today. The MCG for the grand final of 2010. Banners are up, well, almost. Federation Square not far away. And as you can see, a vast crowd. And now the Maya Music Bowl. Again, every vantage point is taken. And they know they're on television. Our minds go back to 1966 now. St Kilda's only premiership. As I mentioned earlier today, they've lost 3 since, including that heartbreaker last season by 12 points. They've been around the mark, but so far that has not been good enough. 14 premierships to this team, but their strike rate isn't that good. Last premiership in 1990. Tony Shaw, the winning captain. Our own Lee Matthews, the winning coach. The umpires are coming out. The man with the football, number 8, Brett Roseberry, a veteran of 2 grand finals. This is his second, in effect. Number 18, the rookie, Razor Ray Chamberlain. His first grand final. Number 25, Sean Ryan, his 3rd grand final. Fantastic moment for these gentlemen too. Not so good for him. Josh Fraser, a man who's played a lot of football for Collingwood, but this, I would think, is a sad day. He'll be happy for the club, no doubt, Tom Hulley, but I mean, personally, it really has been a down year. And to watch this happen in front of him, it could be a real kick in the backside.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, he'd have amazing mix of emotions going on right now. I think grand finals are won on grand final day, but I really believe that premierships are won throughout the year and the years building up. So as much as he won't feel like he's a part of it today, he really has been a part of the build of the footy club. And thoughts go out to Josh Fraser. But I'll tell you what, Dennis, this is one of the greatest moments in Australian sport. When you're down in the rooms and you're getting ready, you have the opportunity to talk to your players for the last time before you head up the race. It's absolutely amazing.
I don't think you get to the stage where you say, this tension that we've been under for the week and as it's built, let's get it out of the way, win or lose, let's get out there and make it happen.
In this sort of situation here, I mean, you often get asked, it's probably the most common question you get asked about grand finals is, what do you say? What do you say before you go out? And I know from my point of view, it was always trying to be focusing on the basics, we didn't have Mark Thompson talk to the group like Ross Lyon's doing here, but just reinforce what you've done so well throughout the year.
And the sell, I would imagine, here would be all about St Kilda football. That seems to be their theme.
I found one of the things I think is really handy here is to say to the players, listen, you've done really well. Like, try and release the pressure a little bit by just saying, listen, you've done a fantastic job to be here. The old sun will come up in the morning, so don't get so stressed that you can't perform. I think that's one of the balances, isn't it, Tom? To be able to perform, to be up for it, but not so hyped and over the top that you're a mental wreck.
Well, we spoke before the game about the arousal levels, and we saw the players out on the ground. It was about 90 minutes, 2 hours before the game, so you've really got to make sure you're in control of all of that.
Did it get easier the second and third time?
Not really, no. You still found yourself... It's funny, grand final day. I really found that you're double guessing the way you should be feeling. You're always questioning yourself as to what you should be feeling, what emotions, but you've really just got to roll with it and just keep reinforcing the basics. That was our mantra down at the Cats.
So a final word there from Ross Lyon. It seems like only yesterday he started out as coach, but only Alan Jeans, Grant Thomas, Stan Alves and Ken Sheldon have coached more St Kilda games. But of course, Alan Jeans is the man that they all envy. We heard of that jealousy before that Dick Maxwell was talking about. Well, Alan Jeans led the Saints to a premiership on that fateful day in 1966 at this very ground. Over their rivals this afternoon, Collingwood, by a behind. You would think in all the years we've had the draft and the salary cap, you might jag one. Well, it hasn't been the case. They're hard to come by.
Isn't that amazing feeling of togetherness as they walk out to battle together?
Ladies and gentlemen, led by the skipper Nick Riddle, let's welcome to the LCC, the Saints.
Tom, I would imagine that sound, that word hits you like a wave as you come up the race.
It certainly does. The one word Nick Reebok was talking about was all about togetherness. That was the way it is now. Collingwood get the great opportunity to walk up the race. No bigger roar than this one.
It's fair to say, Tommy, this season Collingwood no stranger to games here at the MCG. We talk about a neutral venue, but they really have played a lot of football here. It is their home ground, and it's got to be some sort of advantage. Also, they're used to playing in front of crowds just like this one.
Yeah, it was their 10th in a row here, and ironically, the last time they played here was against St Kilda. And it's a massive home advantage. You've got to feel for Simon Prestigiacomo. Again, a bit like Josh Fraser, talking about premiership being built by clubs, grand finals, won on grand final day. He's not going to take any solace out of that right now.
No, hasn't quite. I think while they play in front of big crowds, Collingwood, this is the big game.
Sure.
And St Kilda played in the big game last year. That's got to make them more battle-hardened.
So we saw Prestigiacomo there, Lee. Was that just a ruse, do you think?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, again, I guess we'll find out after the game. The rumour mill's saying he got a bit sore in the groin after his last training session. Okay. So I guess after the game we might know whether it was a ruse or it was just basically a soreness after the last training session.
That old rumour mill, eh?
Yeah.
Well, Stevie Baker is playing. Like Prestigiacomo was included on Thursday night. What a story. Missed so much football. Controversial player, but he's back. And obviously, just a tap on the shoulder from the coach was enough to anoint him as a man who'll get a chance today. That guy's so important, Schneider.
Yeah, and he's seen both sides of the coin. Obviously, the 2005 premiership with the Sydney Swans and the heartbreak last year. I think between Schneider and Milne, they need to kick goals collectively. They were great last week. They had 5 against the Western Bulldogs. That small forward combo for the Saints is really important.
Tom, you were here 12 months ago. Just tell us what you're thinking now, 5 minutes before the game's about to start. What thoughts are going through?
Well, we didn't have a chant like this one at the moment.
Get ready and get used to it, perhaps. Let's see how Collingwood can start against the Saints. You feel like a big club has just got bigger. We'll be back with the opening bounce and the anthem after this. Magnificent scene here on Grand Final day, just the perfect conditions. Place full, stadium about to rock. It defines careers. Can a Lion become a legend today? He will if they win. And his counterpart's probably there already, isn't it? It's been 379 games and he's coached since he last coached a premiership team in 1994. It's been a long wait. Let's go down and join Matthew Richardson and the man who captained the team that last lost to Collingwood in the grand final, Tim Watson.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for reminding me of that. You talked about the conditions. They're near perfect, really, for football. Good cloud cover, no sun in the eyes for the players to contend with. There's just a little bit of breeze, and there's good stick in the ground as well. Richo, so much has been written and said about this game in the lead-up. How do you think it's going to play out early?
The Saints need it to be a tight one-on-one battle early. They need to play on in their back line. They don't do this traditionally. They cannot get stuck there with Collingwood's forward pressure. If they want to score, they've got to take some risks out of their back line, I believe.
So the moment's arrived for one of the rituals in Australian sport. Let's go down and join Craig Willis.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to stand as we welcome Cameron and Taylor Henderson to sing the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing. Advance Australia fair.
Bruce said, it is a ritual, and so is the roar. The introductions being made with the officials now, and we edge ever closer to the 2010 Grand Final. And that is a storied family, certainly. The Shaw family, the latest addition. Heath Shaw out on the ground. His dad, Captain Collingwood. His uncle, their last premiership captain.
Feel like the Saints have to take the crowd out of the game, don't you? I mean, it's overwhelming, this Collingwood chant and roar, isn't it?
It's quite remarkable. You hear about the preliminary final being the main two teams, but this is extraordinary.
I mean, there's no doubt this first quarter, always important. There's the coin toss.
This is Mark, mate. Nick, it's your call. Whenever you're ready, Mark, give it a good one. Heads. No, mate. Wait, Nick. Come. All good.
And the battle of the nets is won by Nick Maxwell.
I think the umpire just told Nick Revolt to nick off.
I think so.
But talking about that first quarter, Collingwood are so used to just jumping out and establishing that early lead. So just the ability for St Kilda to stay with them early and get a bit of doubts in Collingwood's mind.
This is our fucking stage. We've got something in the bottle that we don't have stop. We've got something fucking deep in our hearts.
The rev-ups. Now, Tom, you would have done a couple of those.
I have, Dennis.
Do you remember anything you said?
Again, without sounding boring, it was stressing just the importance of sticking to your processes, the contest by contest and quarter by quarter.
It's a moment where you know that something has to give. I mean, two teams fully committed, ready, but something has to give in the next 2 hours.
I really enjoyed hearing Nick Revolt where you could just pick up talking about togetherness, because as a coach, Lee, you're in the lap of the players now, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's about the on-field performers now. And the ability for the on-field leadership to control the game, to take the vagaries of the game and react accordingly.
They don't like each other, these two teams.
No.
This first 5 minutes will be fascinating.
It will be. I mean, we saw the scenes earlier in the year at Etihad Stadium. But I think you're right, Lee. I think the start of the game, we know Collingwood can play with so much intensity. St Kilda just need to absorb it. If they can sneak a goal early, that's going to be really important for them.
It's both sides have got 4 very small mediums on interchange. So all the height is starting on the field, so which I think was the reason why, to maximise their speed, is why St Kilda left the second ruckman out and went with a small.
It's important to play a really strong, aggressive game, but you don't want to have that misplaced aggression. You want to, obviously put your head over the ball and drive at the footy.
Not now, because the umpires protect the ball carrier, so the player at the footy gets the protection.
Number 16 there, Nathan Brown, in for Prestigiacomo. He's played last week, played well. He was hard done by, at least we thought so, back on Thursday night at selection, but he's back in the team. For everyone who has a heartbreak, there's somebody equally blessed. So we're just about set. The players now in their natural habitat, the MCG, the last Saturday in September. Schneider lining up initially on Maxwell, Kazitsky and Reid. The house full sign is up. Dawson and Cloak. And away we go. The grand final is underway. Gardner has to wait. Up goes Jolly. Hooks it down behind. Guess who? Swan down towards half forward. Bounces inside the 50. Storming up the ground. Cloak missed it. Dawes has got it. Quilt got him. Pendlebury is through. Over the top. Will it sit for Didak? Takes him away from goal. Feeds it back to Jolly. Oh! No sign of the Jolly wobbles. He puts it through.
Well, how often do we talk about the ruck contest between the ruckmen who want to go forward, which is Jolly for Collingwood, Gardner for St Kilda, but when the ball went forward, he just took off Jolly, and it was the extra player to score the goal.
And this is where I reckon Alan Didak's at his most dangerous, running back towards goal, whether he's out running himself or drawing the hand pass and getting it that way. Scott Pendlebury started the game so well last week in the preliminary final on the Friday night, started again, but Darren Jolly and Lee Brown have that X factor to push forward as ruckman, and St Kilda are certainly going to need to be on top of that.
And the tackle was laid, but the handball was still effective, so that ability to pin the ball in, always really important to make it a really effective tackle.
24 seconds.
Well, he's their only premiership player going in, Jolly. It's fitting he's kicked the opening goal. Winning in the Swans in his first year. He's in his first year with Collingwood. Speaking of Swans, Swan to Thomas, to Lee Brown, held on to. Pushed forward by Ball, and then Gwilt on the up. Saints, this is really going to test him. Gardner, well done. Dempster to Gwilt. Long ball over Revolt's head. Kazitsky went to ground. Reid and Swan. So Swan a third, early disposal.
And Jones has taken the Swan matchup just to reinforce that.
Johnson, who's got Milne, that's his matchup. Side bottom, the only teenager. Jolly and side bottom again. Side bottom raining hard. Collingwood making inroads early. Kick to a dangerous spot. Dawes terrific on the up. Hayes gets hold of him, and then Ray gets hold of the footy to Fisher.
Fisher drives around the outer side. Arriving was Reid, tried to knock it forward, went behind Thomas, brilliantly done, swept on the football. Well, Swan's been everywhere, goes out wide, side bottom, gets a hand pass to Jolly. They need to stop them here, the Saints. Collingwood again in that frenzied fashion to start a game. Off hands, it falls in front. Fisher lost it. Beams was there with him. Down goes Pendlebury. Johnson had his kick smothered. Flicks across towards Montagna. Back to Fisher. Runs into a dead end. Scrambles a kick to half-back. Missed by Gardner. Taken by Jolly. The big man with the big body. Throws it on the boot. Goes very high. Up was Ball. Good blocking there initially by Maxwell, but to no avail. Forced forward by Milne. Tracks the ball down towards half forward. Push in the back or high, and the free kick will go to Brown.
He's clumsy at his feet, Kaczynski. Whenever the ball's at his feet, he's in trouble. They had the numbers there, St Kilda, but a bad free kick to turn the ball over.
Ben Reid started the game exceptionally well on Kaczynski.
So Brown, not a great kick. Dempster doing the defensive thing. Hayes, who imposed himself early last year, tries to run the gauntlet a bit. Revolt's first real crack. Brown at the back. McWalter, who looks like he might have a job on Maxwell. Graham, so good last year. 19 kicks, 30 disposals. Kicks to half forward. Milne O'Brien, no free kick for the moment. Ray. Thomas brings him down. There's a win. And now Shaw down the line. Dawes free kick surely.
I think Dale Thomas has been synonymous with Collingwood this year. He's been the player who's taken his game to another level in both the attacking and probably more importantly the defensive side of his game.
Chris Dawes just forward of the wing. Margin just a goal. The only score in the game. Dawes inside the forward 50. A lot of Saints back there. Good thing Gardner didn't punch it. Landed on the chest of Fisher.
Take him away.
Fisher in the back pocket.
The opportunity for St Kilda now just to slow the game down. It's been playing at a breakneck speed, obviously, with Collingwood dominating. Control the tempo.
Already Fisher's third possession. Back towards the wing. Revolt attracted a crowd. Brown went down. Gilbert to Revolt. Juggles the football. Well taken by Shaw. Deftly done. Pendlebury along the line. Looking towards the middle cloak. Ball was stifled off the boot. Wellingham runs into a dead end. Still did well though, Wellingham. Cloak. Johnson from the 50. Long. Telling kick. I think it's home. Right on the call. Behind. Touched right on the line.
This was for St Kilda. Collingwood are dominating the game, but we've often seen this happen, and St Kilda can hold them out.
Having trouble getting it out.
Not 50, not 50. Not 50 because I hadn't blown the whistle. Second whistle.
Needs a big game, Farron Ray. I reckon as Baker comes out.
Also, Bruce, just off screen before, there was Nick Maxwell actually floored Nick Revolt, took him to the ground, so putting that physical pressure on early.
So Ray in the back half. Composure. It's hard to get against Collingwood, isn't it? Gwilt. Schneider and Maxwell. Maxwell decided not to mark. First real look at Goddard. Terrific tackle again. And that from Pendlebury. Maxwell inside. Beams. High flow to the centre half forward. Gardner and Wellingham. Courage from both. Blake. Didn't have a kick in the grand final last year, Blake. Had a few handballs. Dempster under pressure. Graham. Blake and Swan. You've back Swan here. Blake did really well. And then Jones hacks it. He often does. Milne chases it. And St Kilda need to take that collective deep breath.
Yeah, they do. The Collingwood pressure on the contest, on the ball carriers, just making St Kilda just a little bit shaky early.
Pulsating stuff at the moment. And probably the Magpies' dominance not reflected as yet on the scoreboard. Good news for the Saints. Knocked down by Jolly. Goddard quick hands. Hayes the high ball as the sun breaks through. Graham tracks it back. Didn't compete. Knocked down there by Tuvey. Hurried kick by Montagna. Reid backed himself. Left it behind. Schneider slips it away. Kaczynski. Virtually their first sojourn inside the forward 50. And Milne will kick a goal. Milne 20 metres out. Doesn't do anything silly. Thanks to the umpire.
There was no doubt he wanted to go on, but
turns around, kicks a goal. That's handy.
I was going to say, Tom, what we know about Stephen Mill, he doesn't like taking set shots if he's got a choice, and even then he kicked it quickly. Sometimes you just don't let the pressure build. That's why you want to move it quickly rather than take your 20 seconds.
A good nerve settler for Stephen Milne to get the first goal, but we just saw on screen there the captain, Nick Riewoldt, pushing back like he does so well with the flight of the ball, actually drew the contact from the Collingwood player and in effect affected a shepherd so Stephen Milne could take the uncontested mark. So Nick Riewoldt's up and about, moving the angles really well.
Well, he got the monkey off the back. He didn't kick a goal last year, Milne, in the grand final. He's been able to get that off the back in a hurry. Down to you, Tim.
When these sides met in round 3, the Magpies targeted Riewoldt. It seems to be the same again. Maxwell actually knocked him onto his backside behind play. The emergency umpire came out.
So Kazitsky in the ruck against Jolly. Wonder how many times we're going to see Kazitsky in that centre square today.
And Bruce, you spoke about Mick Walter to Maxwell. It was actually Maxwell playing on Mick Walter, but now Eddie for St Kilda's gone on to play a defensive forward role on the Collingwood captain. Just see him on to the left of screen there.
And Kazitsky's come up to do his share of the ruck work, which is going to happen as this game progresses.
So third man up was Hayes, and then Goddard. And then Goddard pushes for good hands by McWalter to Peak. His run important. Well, it's not a great kick. Now, can Milne turn Johnson inside out? When your name's Ben Johnson, you're quick, aren't you? And that's a beautiful handball to Reid. It was a lovely take and a well-weighted kick to Pendlebury, who started well as he did last week. McCaffer, good hands, and then quickly onto a one-on-one. Dawes is good overhead. Well done, Gwilt, but it got away. And Blair, what a story. The only guy on the rookie list kicks the goal.
Collingwood punish their opposition more than any other side on a turnover. Pete going into the forward. You've just got to hit that. And then, as they've done all year, they've brought the heat back really fast down the end of the ground. Goal to young Blair. Great start for the young player.
Smallest player in the AFL, which beats the heck out of being the smallest player in the VFL. Coming through there, the hand pass from Hayes. Jones kicks it down towards half forward. The only player to make his debut this season, Jared Blair, coming through his side bottom. That's for the Magpies, of course. Maxwell smothered off the boot by Riewoldt. Eddie simply falls on the pack, and the umpire calls for it. Let's go down to Tim Watson on the boundary.
Confusion for the Saints down on the bench. They actually had 5 on the bench a few moments ago. Milne was told that he had to get back out on the ground. Greg Hutchison, their team manager, screaming at the players.
Side bottom, scuffs it forward. Over the ball, Baker. That's a free kick. Well, there you go.
Sometimes the fumble helps.
Hand passes to Montagna. Kicks inside the forward 50. Attracts Riewoldt to the footy. Step for step was Brown. Arriving quickly, Reid thumps it forward. Kazitsky went to ground. Thomas kept his head. Gives it to Maxwell.
Didak underneath, but well done by Fish. I think he was off.
He was off.
He was. Turnover beams to Didak. To Dawes. Loves to come up the ground, Dawes, along with Cloak. Comes wide to Davis. First look at him. Third grand final for Leon. Lines it up and then floats one to full forward. Oh, almost a brilliant mark by McCaffer. Gilbert on him. Is that out on the full?
That's the kind of shaky clearance kick that pressure does to you out of there. I mean, that was Dempster, was it, that kicked the ball out on the full? But that was just a wild kick when you've got to just hold on to the ball a little bit to try and make something of it back there.
It's in dangerous hands too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Didak. Not beyond him. About as tough as it gets for a left footer.
Oh,
for some. What more can you say?
Well, this is what Alan Didak's capable of. His left foot out. That's an extremely tough kick from that pocket, and that's what he's capable of. He is brilliant. Another side note, Jones has gone to Dane Swan. They've been at each other for the last couple of minutes behind play. He's definitely going to tag him now after 4 or 5 early touches for Dane.
After the bounce, scramble. Brown goes after the football in the back, is it? No, it's going to be a free kick to the Magpies, and it's going Brown's way for a throw. Chips it out wide. Swan's been terrific in the early going. The favourite for the Norm Smith goes towards the 50. Running hard is Thomas. They're putting on a clinic at the moment. Thomas.
Right on at 49.
Standing on the 49 is Peak.
A lot of St Kilda jumpers back there. There's 16 St Kilda jumpers between Thomas in the forward 50 arc. It's very hard to find a tie. It's a long shot at goal or nothing.
It'll take a very good kick from here.
You've had 20, must kick within 10.
Didak, a marvellous kick moments ago. Gardner is the big man lurking behind for the Saints. In he comes. Goes for the spiral. Well, it's untidy, but I think it's good. Oh, this could be a magpie day. This could be a magpie day. He tumbled it through. A mistake for 6 points.
Especially this, he just doesn't hit it well, does he? It's a wobbly. But if you kick the ball hard in the middle, thick part of the footy, it'll keep going.
Well, plan A hasn't worked, Lee. Plan B for St Kilda now, because this is just where they didn't want to be.
Yeah, it's not plan A. They're going to start winning the footy and being a bit more composed with ball in hand. I mean, at the moment, Collingwood have started the game like they normally do. And St Kilda are immediately on the back foot.
Got that on the ankle.
There's only one word for that. That's a mongrel punt, isn't it?
6 points.
Brendan got a free kick and out of zone assist, holding the man.
The Saints need a few of these, don't they?
But he was thrown to the ground. Played from out of zone. It's good help.
So Goddard in very short to Dal Santo. First time we've called him. Out wider, Fisher. We played on a moment ago. I say a moment ago, it seems a moment ago, a few minutes back. That's a poor kick as well. Floating, gave Revolt no chance. And Shaw took an easy mark. To Maxwell. It's early going, but the Saints need the next goal. Their backs are firmly planted against the wall in the early stages of this grand final. Beams. So there's no nerves from these young pies. To Tuvey.
Tuvey runs it up towards the wing. Miscues with a kick, terrible. Jones took the mark, slips a hand pass away. Baker, Ray, Gardner.
Got to go forward.
Graham. Beaten the count back for the Norton Smith last year. Kicks it directly to Thomas. Thomas, the short one, Pendlebury. They sprint back towards goal now, the Magpies. McCaffrey, favoured by the kick, takes the mark. He was like a wide receiver going back for that one. Lobbed in his path and he's marked it within scoring range.
Yeah, we've talked about the young Magpies side who haven't really been to the grand final for a number of years, but they're playing like they've been here every week. I mean, they're composed, making good decisions, good skills at St Kilda, the battle-hardened team that played last year. They're the ones that are shaky.
Got to say, too, this area for the Saints is the Bermuda Triangle for goals. Didak, followed by Thomas, and now McCaffrey. Nothing to lose here. At the 5th for the Magpies. Kick is on the way across the face of goal, so a reprieve.
Let off the hook there. It could have been a turnover. They just need to go forward here, St Kilda. I know they like to control the tempo of the game, but as long as they're going forward, it works.
So Hayes and Gwilt combined to Fisher. But Shaw held him up, so we won a little battle there. The test now for the Saints is to maintain that composure that Tom talked about before the game, to go through the things that you normally go through. You're 3 goals down. Hard to get your hands on the footy, hard to kick it straight. Find a target. They're doing some practice here in the back half, trying to work themselves into a bit of form.
3 possessions, but they haven't really gained any advantage in either direction or territory.
So just little wins for the Saints. Here's a revolt against Brown. A shove into revolt into Maxwell. So a good call by the up, and then revolt. Not a great kick. And Thomas, for the second time in about 2 minutes, marks the ball from the opposition.
He started well, Thomas, too. Along the line, Maxwell, the skipper. Slips a hand pass away. Pendlebury, very industrious under pressure, affected the kick. Well, Davis needs to go harder. Spills across towards a man who always does. Hayes, close to the boundary line. Fisher to Graham. Kicks it inside the 50. Well, not quite. Hope to. Johnson kicks back beyond the wing. Pendlebury tried to work in front. Fisher claims the mark. He's had a lot of the football. Fisher right half back. So the Saints knew about this. It's no surprise. Collingwood, the fast starters. And they're hard to beat from this situation, particularly when you don't score a lot of goals yourself. It's out of bounds from the fist of Jolly.
The slower they're going at the moment, it's giving the players. You see the sport, that's a textbook one from Darren Jolly. Dale Thomas just at the screen there, he's the one pushing across. His work rate's outstanding. He started the game so well. 7 disposals, the leading possession getter on the ground. He's set for a big day.
Jolly did well against Gardner there. Ray down low, and then Gardner squeezes the ball to half forward. Schneider and Shaw boundary throw.
I was just thinking, Dennis, a bit like, Usain Bolt is quick, doesn't mean you can find a way to be quicker.
Exactly.
That's what St Kilda are finding at the moment. Nothing Collingwood are doing is a surprise, but they're just doing it so well.
So, third man up again, Hayes, and he took the ball out of the air, then hooks it back to about 30 metres. Revolt got involved. Milne pushed. Still in play. No coming back. Wanting a free kick. Little shove in the back.
Hands in the back.
Got to make the most of any of these rare forward chances, St Kilda.
Close to goal. Gardner beaten by Jolly. Montagna slung. Momentum took him goalward. The kick misses.
And just off screen, Dempster's doing the hard tag on Didak. Didak's come off. Dempster's followed him all the way to the interchange bench.
Lee Montagna grew up barracking for Collingwood. Made his debut against Collingwood. Round 6, 2002. Ross Lyon. A lot to contemplate at the moment. Nice kick. No pressure. Just sliding in behind the short zone marked by Reid. Running hard is McCaffrey to the outer side. This kick needs to be precise. He's outnumbered. Getting back Dawson. Good pressure from McCaffrey. Arriving quickly Beams, but 4 against 2. 5 against 2 prevails. Goddard. Little 1-2 with Hayes. Inside the forward 50. Getting in behind. Brilliant gather by Shaw. Maxwell. Slides it across towards a teammate in O'Brien. Now it's 2-on-1 on this side. Side bottom needs to go though. Takes the mark, stayed on his feet. That was important. Fisher went to ground. Wellingham kicks it up towards the wing. Cloak, still Cloak. Well done. Tries to get a hand pass away. Side bottom kept coming. Hand passes forward. Brown crashes in. Wanted it most. Goes back to Pendlebury.
So good again today in this opening term. McCaffrey and Cloak. Good pressure from Hayes. And then Revolt onto Reid. And Hayes gets the turnover, but the tackle on him's a beauty.
That's because there was no one forward of Hayes, so he had to hold on to the footy. They've actually had about 3 times in Kilda where kicks needed to be short in front of leading forwards, and they've kicked it over their head.
Tuvey, Beams, and then Johnson to Cloak, I should say, and grounded him.
One of the problems that St Kilda have got at the moment is when they look up, they just see the defensive structures of Collingwood. It's Maxwell. If it's not Maxwell, it's Harry O'Brien. So they just look up, there's nowhere to go. They really need to sort that out and make those 2 defenders in particular accountable.
They always look like they're in the right spot, Collingwood, don't they? To get that ball, Ray. Dos Santo under pressure. Did well in the end. Back to Ray, back to Hayes. Cute little kick, a good one. Goddard getting involved. Montagna, important names. Peak. Run down brilliantly again. A great tackle from Tuvey. Shaw run down. That was a good tackle from McWalter. Little kick forward. Cut off. Ray getting a little bit of the ball. And then kicks to centre half forward. Revolt. Brown. Little give was clever. And then Revolt to Goddard. We know he's a lovely long kick. That's a floater to fall forward. Kaczynski. Reid. Well done, Reid. To Johnson. And then Johnson spirals it back and finds a defender in Hayes.
It's coming back though. Montagna takes the hand pass. Revolt.
That's the first kick that's given their marking forward a chance to lead into it. Even then, Revolt had to go full stretch. St Kilda's kicking is just, at the moment, too powerful going forward. Finally found a kick to the advantage of the leading forward.
Game number 196 for this man. Wonderful player. Tore his hamstring against Collingwood, round 3, missed 11 games, and still 37 goals in 13 games this season. In he comes. This one trying to work back, but it won't. Just misses out to the right.
As we know, Collingwood's accuracy is a little bit of Achilles' heel. Well, they've kicked 4-2. It makes a difference when you can actually get that 60 to 70% conversion accuracy from shots.
We talk about not being accurate with your kicking. Back in round 3, St Kilda won by 28 points. And Collingwood kicked 4-17, and in round 16, St Kilda booted 6-16. Close to the boundary line, Didak. This is their specialty, walking the tightrope along the boundary line, but Dawson wins the footy. Dawson goes inside. Goddard in the shadows, wheels around, comes back. Dempster takes the mark.
Passage of play generated from the kick in. It's one area of the game that Collingwood haven't necessarily excelled at this year.
Jones on the tightrope himself there, just stretching, keeping it in. Terrible kick, floats it down towards the 50. Revolt gave a contest. Blake did well. Del Santo back to Hayes. Blake got a hot one. Gives it across towards Eddie. The hand pass not so flash. Thomas went in amongst about 4 of them and won a terrific football for Collingwood. A draw is a win in that situation.
The pressure and the implied pressure, isn't it? At the moment, Collingwood, even St Kilda should have been able to clear the ball then, but the implied pressure draws the error.
So Blake took it out of the contest, and then Del Santo. O'Brien just had a slip. Eddie's handball, that one's a bit better. And then Schneider to half forward. So Kazitsky to use Peake. Now Peake under pressure. Reed got into his back a little bit. And now Brown. This is Lee Brown on the left. Ball and Goddard. Goddard will fancy himself to outrun him. Well played, Goddard. He's had a big second half of this first quarter. Little kick from Montagna to Fisher, and then Fisher to Revolt. And the Saints have had a good 5 minutes.
Well, I think we've just noticed just recently Nick's kicking from this distance has just been looking a little ad hoc.
Good players learn quickly, though. This is the same spot, isn't it?
It's his full distance kick, really, isn't it? It's the 50-metre kick, 55 metres to clear the line.
Been able to play the game in their half at the moment. St Kilda taking the ball off Collingwood in the centre of the ground instead of the back half, which is going to be important to control the tempo of the game.
He struck it well. It looks a big chance. It is a captain's goal. They certainly needed that.
This is exactly what they need, the Saints. They needed to get a goal on the board. They've actually had a good 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes since Collingwood kicked their last goal. Great capacity of the Saints to work their way back into a game.
So that makes the margin 12 points, and in its way, given what's happened, quite manageable. The outside of the boot, Didak got it from Ball, kicks it down towards half forward. Once again, Fisher had it, lost it, comes across towards Dempster, needs to be careful. He kept it a long time. Blair, Didak inside the forward 50. Great acceleration from Dawes. Went to ground. Dawson put the body in. Picked up nicely by Jones. Montagna. Now that characteristic strutting run of Stevie Baker goes towards the outer side, and the mark is taken there by Blake.
And Blake, first quarter, Blake did the centre-bounce. That's the third centre-bounce ruckman from St Kilda.
Saints finding a little space now. Here's Graham.
Measures the kick to Schneider. And then Schneider coming wide. Now this is a big play. Dempster, not the quickest, but he goes.
It's a good play.
With a kick in mid-air. Revolt, well done. Del Santo brings it back to centre half forward. Belted away there by Reed. Schneider loves a goal in a grand final and delivers. And the Saints are back in this match in a big way.
Back in the game, aren't they? They've now 12 inside 50s now, St Kilda, Collingwood's 10, so they're getting the ball into their forward half. Only kicked 3 goals from the 12, but after that blitzkrieg early by Collingwood, St Kilda have now stabilised.
Margin just 6 points then. Brown struck on the shoulders. The ball was coming down. Del Santo in the back. Or too high, the umpire says.
That's why they have to go in quick.
Del Santo. Montagna peels off. Runs to space. It was a little bit casual. The kick inside the forward 50. Milne threw himself at the footy. Revolt tracks it out of bounds, and moments ago, the soft hands of Nick Revolt. Very important, just directing it down to Del Santo. Centre clearances so far. Clearances in general.
The noticeable one there was Collingwood actually haven't had a clearance away from the centre.
Schneider almost. Well done, Pendlebury to Johnson. 10 disposals Hayes, 10 disposals Montagna, 9 disposals Goddard, Del Santo up to 6. The big 4 getting hold of the ball in the second half of the opening quarter.
Just at the moment, Collingwood have only got 56% effectiveness of kicking, which is quite low. So even St Kilda look like they've made a lot of errors, but they're 65%.
Gee, they would have taken this scoreline 10 minutes ago at quarter time. Maybe they can draw level, though. Didak had a slight airy. Montagna. Didak very well done to Thomas, who wants the safety of the line.
just on those statistics, Lee, the other interesting one, Collingwood, 51 kicks, 45 handballs. Last week they were well over the 2-to-1 kick to handball ratio, so probably indicative of the pressure in the game at the moment. More hand passes from the Pies.
So Hayes again the third man up, and Del Santo again getting a clearance. Eddie front spot, Milne, Schneider, it's high, it's a free kick.
Ben Johnson! That's your mark.
Can he go all the way here? I'm not sure.
He's got one for one. Remember last year, a couple of critical shots in the grand final last year, he couldn't quite nail them. This is certainly his maximum kicking distance, isn't it?
Will he go the mongrel punt tour?
It's his fourth grand final in 6 years. He's played 8 seasons of footy. He's played in 8 final series. It's his 21st final all up. He could say he was born for September. He's certainly played a lot of it, but he's kicked a goal in every grand final he's played, including today. And that one, well, he's trying to crib as close as he could. And then Tuvey to ball. Schneider almost got him. Good kick out wide.
Gee, that was impressive by Tuvey.
Oh, sorry.
He's had 2 magnificent tackles as well. Well done by Goddard, Gilbert, Pendlebury, Tuvey. I feel like we've got a good grand final coming. Thought they were going to reprise the fight in the break. Go back to 1990.
Yes, I don't think. I think we're now in 2010. I don't think there's going to be too much overreaction.
Things happen at quarter time when these two teams play each other, as we found out earlier this year. So quarter time in the grand final. Collingwood lead the Saints by 6 points.
Of the grand final, Collingwood out by 20 points at one stage. Now it's contracted back to 6. Terrific performance by St Kilda. They got what they needed to do. It didn't seem likely they would do that, but they turned things around midway through that term. Tim Watson is down on the ground, and very shortly he'll be joined by Stephen Silvani. But I would think that Lenny Hayes, with his 10 possessions, has certainly been one of the stars so far in this game for the Saints, and they would be very happy with their midfield. Their midfield has done remarkably well, particularly out of the centre square. Let's go down to Tim Watson now.
Well, Sauce, after a fast start from Collingwood, it's a fairly evenly balanced contest now.
Yeah, well, it was good to get back into it. They probably got us on the spread a little bit. Their ball usage was good, but our indicators are pretty positive, so we're happy with that first quarter.
And your key midfielders are getting plenty of the ball too?
Yeah, they started to get it. Obviously, a couple of their midfielders hurt us early in Swan and Didak. Got a bit of the ball, but we closed them down in the latter part of that quarter.
And you've been able to keep Dawes, Cloak and also Brown quiet?
Yeah, they've done a reasonable job, but obviously it's going to be a pretty important quarter, this second quarter.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
And Richo down there at ground level, I made the point they've done what they needed to do. Collingwood, reputed fast starters, they'd be delighted with the way they came back there.
Yeah, they would. That last 15 minutes, there was some really big contests from some of the lesser-known St Kilda players. The last Schneider goal was set up by 2 of those guys. Dawson's effort at ground level, and then Dempster's run off half-back and his ability to flick the ball over to Revolt, who got it inboard, and Schneider kicked the goal. 2 of the lesser-known players, moments that they'll look into in the grand final.
Looking at the tackling, we came in thinking Collingwood would really put the pressure on with their tackling. They did initially, but somehow St Kilda started to find some space, Richo.
They did. They definitely got the ball through the zone. The ball was in their forward half of the ground a lot more time, and that's what other teams have struggled to do against this Collingwood lineup.
Start of the second quarter, so the Saints coming back strongly. Collingwood lead by a goal at quarter time after they led by 20 points in that opening term. And the transformation after the Thomas goal is quite alarming, isn't it?
It's been huge. They're actually dominating a lot of the key performance indicators. Since that Thomas goal, the inside 50s are 9-2 to St Kilda. Clearances 8-3 to St Kilda. Disposals 73-47 to St Kilda. And most importantly, the score 2 goals, 2-0 points.
Thanks, mate.
And Swan just 1 disposal since that Thomas 4th goal for Collingwood after a flying start. Ball and Hayes head-to-head. Of course, Ball is captain St Kilda. What a rare spot he finds himself in today. Peak. Well done, Tuvey. He's having a blinder. Keeps his head over the ball too. And then Goddard holds him up with a great tackle.
Where Peak has to actually hold his feet. When you 2 people are sort of running for the ball, you've got to be able to hold your line over the ball. But teammate covered for him.
This is also really important. A strong leader of your team in Brendan Goddard, putting a vice-like tackle on a young player in Alan Tuvey.
Gardner wins half a tap, and then Hayes and Tuvey and Peake.
The other thing that's happening here is St Kilda, actually no, Lee Brown is running back now because Sam Fisher had dropped back as a spare defender. So now we've got even numbers around the contest and either side, forward and back.
Umpire Ryan with the bounce then. Slapped down initially. It's McWalter. Ball on the wing. McCaffrey left it behind. Well worked Montagna to Blake. Gwilt, like a cat, did brilliantly. Smothered off the boot of Hayes. It ricochets across towards the middle. Dempster, probing kick inside the forward 50. Oh, well done. Nathan Brown just easing back.
Was a good mark, wasn't it? Rewald looked like he was going to push back hard enough. So Brown couldn't mark it.
This is Reid. Always in a marking contest. You've got to pay the quality you're marking against. Well done there by Shaw. Gardner, the big man, was bearing down from one knee. Shaw, Pendlebury, ball under pressure, did brilliantly. Now Brown looks inside the forward 50. Cloak is favoured by the kick. Dawson, not sure what he was thinking there.
He was thinking body, not ball, wasn't he, Dennis?
Yep.
He was thinking he was looking for Cloak's body when he really had to look at the footy. Played on its merits.
Even then, he wasn't sure.
Always favoured by the kick, I think. Travis Cloak, I should say, actually takes more contested marks per game than Nick Riewoldt the other end. Not highlighting anything in particular, but just the fact that he is a very strong contested mark for the Collingwood Football Club.
This man has his days. Needs to be on. Needs to kick this one. Needs to kickstart himself, and he does. Splits the middle.
He's the #1 contested mark in the competition. There's Travis Cloak. So important kick for him to nail it, and he did. So Collingwood back to 12 points. Gardner in hard on Jolly. Well done by Swan, forward. Got over the top of Gilbert and side bottom, and Gilbert to Hayes, to Gwilt, who's on the back foot, he had to be, to Blake. This is the Collingwood pressure.
Leroy, got to roll him, mate. Got to roll him. Landed on his number. Player.
We've come to see if a team handballs backwards in their defensive 50 against Collingwood, they're in a bit of danger. They get out of this one. Dawson wide, Jones searching, boundary throw in.
Yes, if the handball has to be crisp, doesn't it? As soon as it hangs in the air a little bit, the Collingwood tackler is going to be there the same time as the footy.
So boundary throw in. Two very strong customers. Gardner reaches over the top. Swan looking for side bottom on Tanya. The hand pass stifled there from Hayes. Away comes Swan along the boundary line. Strength again, getting separation.
Great example of Dane Swan's speed there. People aren't giving credit for that, but the acceleration, those first two steps, extraordinary effort.
Thank you, Chris. He's on the mark.
Swan coming off.
It's the powerful thighs, isn't it? The powerful legs that can just get those really quick 2 or 3 steps in.
He started so well, Dane Swan, but just 6 possessions. Leon Davis just the 1 kick so far. So Dawes. We've seen him kick some very good goals this season. That gets him.
I don't know whether we've seen many from the 50-metre mark. They've mostly been from close in, I think.
But they're taking their shots, Collingwood, from 50 today, aren't they? They did that in the opening term with some success. That was interesting because Montagna actually steeled himself to run down Swan, and Swan ran away from him.
He did.
You know, that's right. If you have a lot of long shots, you're going to kick a lot of long behinds over the whole game. I mean, you're going to kick a few, as Collingwood did early, from out wide and 50-metre line.
So Hayes very much in the back half. Ray, Jolly, Brown belting forward, side bottom, just tried to lay it off. Goddard got him though.
Guys, Brendan, it's not a free kick. It's not a free kick. No, nothing in it.
I think we'd all say here.
Just seeing Collingwood there getting back right on top, and they're back evening up the clearances 4-zip this quarter.
Dal Santo couldn't get the kick away. Side bottom rode the tackle. Kicks to centre half forward. Fisher front spot. Belts it away. Dawes and Gwilt. And Gilbert didn't take it cleanly, Gilbert. Needed to. Beams hooks back. Dempster underneath. And Dempster, like Schneider in his 4th grand final, and they've all been thrillers. Think Sydney 05, West Coast 06, Geelong last year.
That was a nice kick. Revolt, I think, misjudged that one. Got underneath it. Wasn't the kicker's fault. Tuvey feeds it back. Brown running out of space. Cops it up. Revolt onto the boot. It ricochets off Tuvey. Then Revolt. How do they call it? Out of bounds? No, on the full. Off Revolt.
Ben Johnson, keep coming.
Free kick to be taken by Tuvey.
Move it on, play on.
Just looks back inside the defensive 50. Comes to Shaw. He's been lively. Always is. Backs his kick. Comes to Jolly.
Good work rate from Jolly. They're actually shoulder to shoulder there, Gardner and Jolly, but Gardner worked him off.
Harry O'Brien kicks it up towards the wing. In better position, going back with the flat of its side bottom, reaching in. Graham got a fist, knocked it out of bounds. And immediately side bottom steps off the ground.
Mate, you're right.
I just think you Sam Gilbert back in the secure defence. He got really defensive forward was put on him in the latter part of the year. He just looks like he hasn't got the composure he had early.
So Graham did really well a moment ago against side bottom. Blair, well done, kicked a goal in the opening turn. Back to Shaw. Started brilliantly, Shaw. Kicks down the line.
Chris Dawes being held. Just here.
So Dawes.
It's the first part of the first quarter revisited, isn't it, at the moment?
Kick to a 50-50. Hayes did well to make a contest. Ray's got to be careful here. The ball has to come out.
Oh, it came out. Came out.
I think we'd hoped that it would be a ball up. I think as the season's gone on, the umpires have been more lenient or less strict on actually paying those bottom of the pack holding the balls. Good thing.
Thomas, Pendlebury, McWalter did well, and then Peake. Still not with the ball. I thought that might have been in the back to Davis. McWalter working hard. Peake trying to get through. Still with the ball.
How many people touch the footy? I reckon there's 10 players touched the footy in that last 5 minutes of play. Tackling pressure from both sides is fantastic. 21 Collingwood, 24 St Kilda. Actual tackling numbers.
That was pretty by Goddard too. Stayed out of the back of Davis. There's the bounce. Neither ruckman touched the footy. Hayes appear to be held. Getting back is Ray, upended, but not before he got a hand pass to Gilbert. Graham, Goddard drives towards the outer side. Johnson, though, the defender, leads in the race. Bounces terribly, goes back to Milne, across to Revolt, centering kick. Graham will run onto it. No! Harry O'Brien had other ideas. Put out the hand and reeled it in. Terrific effort. He was body to body, and that kick seemed destined for the man behind him. Not so. Reid comes out to Brown. What a valuable player he's been. 3 clubs for Lee Brown. Fremantle, North Melbourne, now Collingwood, just like Jolly. 3 clubs, Melbourne, Sydney, and now Collingwood. And what a valuable tandem they are. There's Eddie Maguire.
Oh, how he'd love that premiership if he could get one.
Have a look at this. This is fantastic. Schneider was trying just to block him to allow Graham to mark, and he beat 2 of them in O'Brien. Fantastic.
Jolly went to ground. Gardner kept his feet. Dos Santo wanted the high tackle. Well done, Ray, against Thomas. Back to Didac. Brilliant. To Beams. Clever. To Didac. Well taken down by Dawson. It was fair.
Get it down quick. Get it and throw it up.
Great contest there. It's in a really contested situation, but Collingwood been able to get the ball outside of the contest. But Zach Dawson held it up a treat.
So the bump is alive and well at times. Here's Maxwell accelerating to Pendlebury, splitting them open to side bottom, and then side bottom leans back. It's a long, strong kick. Close. Well, I think it might have been going through. So behind in the end, and Maxwell has to pick himself up.
Tough decision to make that one for Cloak. Maxwell shrugs off the trainers. Meantime, on the outer side, Peake, it's end-to-end stuff now. Margin, though, 13 points. It was just 6 at quarter time. Ray to the run of Gilbert through midfield. Penetrating kick inside the forward 50. Unsighted this man so far, but Kazetsky takes a tumbling mark right on the numbers. Behind play, Revolt goes down, nothing to that. So Kazetsky coming up to just his 2nd kick.
Either side, they can get the ball out in space and move it quickly, gives their side the opportunity for a one-on-one contest, which was Gilbert on that occasion delivering the ball to Kosicki. He had the opportunity because it came to his side in a one-on-one situation.
Justin Kosicki then. Steps to the 50 or just outside. Kick is on the way. Gee, that's good contact. It's a goal. The much maligned Kosicki. Tough to say. Not easy to kick a goal from there either. Gets the goal.
Fantastic long goal by Cozzy. He's very reliable from that distance. In the start of this quarter, the Saints have been able to get the game on their terms. They've had numbers back behind the stoppages, and that allowed them to get overlap run all the way down the other end to that Cozzy mark.
So Blake again doing the ruck work. Interesting, the goal kickers for the Saints. The big four that have been their goal kickers all year. I'm talking about Revolt, Kosicki, Mullen and Schneider.
Yep.
Collingwood have greater spread of goal kickers over the year, but every time St Kilda's won the game, they've relied heavily on those four, so they're all on the scoreboard at this stage.
So Blake, and he used to be a good ruckman in the old day. Well, I want to say a good ruckman, a good second man, and he's having to do that today. Swan just dumps Ray with a terrific tackle.
And St Kilda will play again the spare man back behind this stoppage. This is a fantastic tackle, which is making it hard for Collingwood to get shots from the centre of their forward 50 arc. And both sides are actually defending deep and central really well.
Brown won the tap. Davis clever. Gets it forward. Fisher off the mark. So spreads it to Gwilt. And there's a lot more composure about the Saints right now. They were shaken up early, weren't they?
Yep, on the ropes. Gwilt drives it down towards half forward. Goddard was up, had it fisted away. McWalter slides it back under pressure. Eddie goes to Revolt, falling to the ground. Gilbert trying to force a passage. Brown got him. Have to get a whistle here.
It's a great tackle there by Brown on Gilbert. Just pinned the arm and forced the spill of the ball. Just see it here.
See Travis Cloak too having a pit stop there.
And kept out of his back. That's the critical thing as well, not to give away the free for falling on his back.
Brown and Blake. Goddard goes up unattended then as the third man. Thomas, who started so well. Montagna in his hip pocket, and the ball goes out of bounds. Midway through this second term, Eric Banner.
About that midpoint of the first term, Tom, it seems like we've got as many St Kilda jumpers around the footy. Collingwood normally dominate that 5 metres around the footy. St Kilda doing that pretty well now. Back
Brown
in the game.
Towards the wing. I think Eric Banner used to do impersonations of Bruce and myself. I bet he's forgotten that now. On the outer side, the hurried kick from Fisher.
Get the tape out, Dan. I want to have another look. I want to feel good for a moment. Here's Goddard in hard. Well done, though, by McCaffrey. It's one of those we used to know him when, eh?
That's right. Bruce who? Dennis who?
Goddard's had a terrific opening half. I thought he was vital in that first quarter when they were getting flogged. So Blake, just a little tap towards Montagna and Del Santo.
They made the big decision, didn't they, before the game, St Kilda, to leave out that second ruckman to give them a little bit more mobility and flexibility within their whole 22. I think that's helping them. I think that's just giving them that extra player.
So Goddard's handball under pressure. Thomas belting forward. Didak and Dempster. Didak, good hands again. Pendlebury so clever to Wellingham. And then Wellington to fall forward. Gilbert couldn't quite mark it. Side bottom. McCaffrey, Fisher. The Saints will want a stoppage, and they get it.
This is the part of the ground that St Kilda are protecting really well. Collingwood are getting there, but this central part of the arc, that's where it's the most easiest to score from.
25 metres out, directly in front. Dangerous situation, though, for the Saints. Brown goes up, tries to hook it down. Ray spills to Pendlebury. Del Santo tackled by Ball. Thomas dragged down there, but not before it spilled across to Tuvey. And Tuvey just misses.
Gee, he's confident, Tuvey. He's doing party tricks.
Yeah, well, he's played every game this season. Obviously, Michael Malthouse regards him very highly. Acquired in the 05 rookie draft from Claremont. His career high 22 possessions. He's having a good day based on those figures today. McWalter takes the mark, wants to go immediately. Little chip, short one. Finds Farron Ray, feeds it across towards Eddie. He's in trouble, taken down from behind. McCaffrey got him.
Oh, and the kick away, 50-metre penalty. As soon as you actually don't pick the first option against the Collingwood forward line, they're going to get you if you come back.
And the handball...
We'll see this. Didn't go, came back, taken from behind.
Also, I was going to say, Lee, the handball set him behind. He had to take a half step back, which had to make him re-evaluate which way he was going to go.
But even a worse error was the kick away straight away. Farron Ray. I mean, that's made a possible goal into a certain goal.
McCaffrey, another one of those players you get the feeling Michael Malthouse really likes. And he comes, kicks the goal. And suddenly they skip away again. Margin out to 14.
Here's the free kick here. The handball from Farron Ray was just slightly behind Eddie, which made him change his mind and get tackled, obviously, with the ball. And there it is.
What Farron Ray thought he was doing. Just a bad error.
50 metres.
So Collingwood, a couple of goals in front again. Swan belting forward to about 20 metres. Gilbert got a fist away. Gwilt under pressure, doesn't really get it out of the danger zone. Wellingham, brilliant back turn. Good tackle, Jones. Graham outnumbered, but he kept his call. And then Gilbert came through. Kick to Eddie. So Eddie, very much a defensive player. Not a good handball. And again, the Saints getting caught up here. And unfortunately, Eddie was stiff the other time because it was a poor handball to him, but that time that was a terrible handball by him to Montana.
You have confidence in your forwards and be prepared to go to them. You don't have to hand pass. If the St Kilda would get the ball moving by foot, they've got equal numbers forward of the ball.
Swan again. So second clearance in a minute. And again he puts it well inside the 50. Dawes with strength gets rid of Gwilt. Dawson did very well. To Fisher, who had to sidestep. He wants Dal Santo. Dal Santo doesn't take the mark, and now he's got a problem.
Oh, gee.
He tried to mark the football. He tried to mark the football. He tried to mark the football. Didn't drag it in.
Well, there you go. There's the bounce just outside the 50. Gardner, Hayes collides with Blair. Blair goes after that footy, wins it 55 metres out, hooks it around the corner, body to body down there. Working in front was Beams, close to the boundary line. Didak kept it in, but only for Graham. Oh, terrific! And he landed rather awkwardly, or stepped rather awkwardly. Revolt seems to be fine, gets to his feet, charges away, slips it to Hayes. Hayes to Revolt, kicks with the left boot. Peake comes up from behind. His man fell over, that was sure, and he did very well, Peake, to claim it on the second try.
Move it on.
So Peake, 60 metres out, on the line of the square, gets onto this one, right to the goal face, punched away from behind by Maxwell, roving the pack, side bottom. He's been very good.
Kicks it well outside the 50, free kick against Goddard.
Gee, they got back well then, Collingwood. Peake marked the ball, but there was still more Collingwood jumpers in their defensive 50. Made him kick long.
And one of the reasons, Lee, was that Revolt had to take the mark at half-back and couldn't get back to the goal square. Their number one weapon wasn't there where they would love him to be. 0 for 2 of them.
And on that one, when Peake had the shot for goal, he actually had Brendan Goddard almost on the set play, wheeling around, who probably would have gone the distance from 55.
You probably almost got to look to someone on the, the 45 metres on a bit of an angle just to actually get a set shot within distance.
So Gardner Jolly, side bottom, held up by Hayes. Jolly searching for it. Well done, Jolly. And then Shaw squeezes forward. Good hip and shoulder by Dawson. So Dempster, Gilbert, a natural left footer. Dangerous kick. Goddard made a contest, but Collingwood get the ball. And then Johnson to Wellingham. Is it 50?
Beams.
1 metre back.
So Wellingham doesn't go very far back and then floats it to the goals. Cloak's outnumbered.
Been a real positive for St Kilda. I reckon the St Kilda key defenders in Fisher, Gilbert and Dawson are all standing up in the one-on-one contest. Turnovers hurting them at the moment, bringing the ball back into very dangerous parts of the ground.
Feel like they're just hanging on again now, the Saints, don't you?
Not sure what distracted Wellingham there. He wasn't paying attention. Beams was about 30 metres in the clear. 30 metres out from goal. Gwilt to himself, drives to the outer side. Up goes Reid, much improved player, almost to mark 2. O'Brien came hard. Thomas, clever, not once but twice. Sorry, Bruce. Hand passes to O'Brien, comes back towards Reid. Reid's kick was smothered, close to the boundary line, spills to Thomas. Thomas goes along the boundary and finds Dawes.
One of those days, there's just so many bodies around the stoppages. It's a kick forward day. You don't have to overcreate and create the turnover. There's equal numbers forward of the footy. Don't be afraid just to kick it out of the congestion 40 metres your way. It's one of those games today.
When you shake it out, a lot of finals are, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
A lot of stuff goes out the window. Easy to play the game on the whiteboard. A bit more difficult out in the middle. Dawes across the face of goal. Gardner goes up and concedes another. They forced or rushed a few. 42 plays, 26. Collingwood on top, approaching half-time in the grand final.
And just to build on that point, Lee, I think the third man up and those ones where you can actually get the ball out of the congested situation into some flow-on becomes really important, just like a kick out of a stoppage.
So Del Santo short. Again, Collingwood taking their shots from the 50 as they did there. The points are adding up. There's 6-6 now. They were 5-2 earlier.
But they're all from difficult situations. St Kilda are really controlling their point-blank area.
So Kazitsky got into Reid's back a bit. Brown took a good mark. Back to the other Brown. This is Nathan. High left footer to full forward. Pendlebury read it very well. Davis toe pokes it out. Side bottom brought down by Del Santo. Or was a ball brought down?
Thanks, guys. Let him up.
What Collingwood need here is whether it's a third man up or someone to actually break it away, get a bit of a burst, a bit of a blitz out of the forward stoppage.
So some work being done there. Saints need that next goal. Del Santo a clearance. The sun's shining its brightest right now. One captain beats the other for that ball. Maxwell long and hard to fall forward. And then Fisher, the third man up. Dawes anchored a little.
What is interesting, when they've been under pressure, the St Kilda big defenders, they've actually been third man up and punching. Sometimes you've got to be third man up. If you've got the hands at the footy market, then all of a sudden the pressure is making them spoil in those situations.
Gardner falls down. Jolly goes over the top. Brown deep in the pocket. Gets boot to ball. Going back. Dempster, is that holding it? He had a long time. Peake did well. Gave it to Goddard. Clears the zone. Johnson knocks it down. Harry lines up. Harry O'Brien heads for goal. And he's got it. The Colt figure stretches the lead.
Just a quick hit from Goddard. Obviously, you want the ball onto the boundary side, but it is a weight of numbers. That's 18-3 inside 50s now this quarter for Collingwood for 3 goals to 1. So the pressure's really starting to mount on St Kilda.
It's the big margin in the match with 22 points. Swan a third clearance in about 10 minutes. Blake did pretty well. Jones soccers off the ground. Blair and Gilbert. Blair still fighting hard. Peake's toe poke, maybe to Collingwood's advantage. Pendlebury, Montagna, down low ball, forcing forward. He plays the percentages ball, doesn't he? That's a good result.
And just on that inside 50 step, it's uncharted territory for St Kilda to concede so many in a quarter. As we said, up to 18. They only average about 11 a quarter, the stingiest in the league. Really under the pump at the moment.
Well, you feel the moment's arrived for St Kilda. If they want to be right in this grand final, they need a strong finish to this first half. Didac, Blair. Well done, Del Santo to Hayes. Then Hayes and a kick and hope into the centre. Little push, well done, Schneider. Then Schneider to Kazitsky. Now there's an open forward line. There's no one in front of him. Revolt is charging back. And Graham as well. He goes to Revolt, but he went the wrong way for a moment, Nick. Then Fisher, he knew the tackle was coming. Revolt roving it for a moment. Back to Blake. Blake can't get a handle. Davis gets rid of him. And Bale, they struggle again. 2 blokes that played in grand finals and didn't get a kick together. Davis in 02 and Blake last year.
You're hardly a promoter, Bruce.
Sorry about that. Down to you, Tim.
Well, Wellingham's gone off the ground. He's been doing a good job on Lenny Hayes, so he's got a bit of a breather now, Hayes.
Out of bounds.
One of the many things that Collingwood have done really well is every time Nick Revolt's gone towards the ball in the contest, whether it's on the ground or in the air, they've taken him to ground and really put some physical pressure on him.
And I think the ball got here because Hayes was just prepared to kick it forward off halfback.
Leon Davis takes his seat. Not having a good day. Jolly. Hayes knocked away by Pendlebury. What a game he's played. So too this man. Swan storms away. Side bottom has been very good. Leads back in the race. Went to ground. Who's got the recovery? Side bottom. Dawson arrives like the cavalry. Still side bottom battles after the football. Oh, well done. Side bottom. As the name suggests, nothing is straightforward.
What a great contest this is. It's a really good battle. Both players hit the deck. They both bounce up. Zach Dawson, the third play, and that is what grand finals is all about.
Terrific stuff. McCaffer couldn't quite.
Come on, knock it out.
I reckon Stevie Baker thought then, Ross Lyons picked me, I've got to do something.
Well, I reckon when he fell over, he thought, oh, I'm gone now. But he got up quick enough to still prevent a side bottom getting from goal side.
So Pendlebury keeping Revolt away from the contest. Blake, Montagna, it'll bounce just in.
Cue me, Bruce.
Centimetre perfect.
Hang on, Bruce.
Sorry, that's your line. Just how do you actually say it? Say it one more time for me.
Special.
So Jolly. Revolt doing a bit of ruck work and winning it. Montagna couldn't get the kick. Blair's a hard man to bring down. Graham held up by Johnson and Didak. And then Revolt lets it fall out of his hands. I feel like Revolt decided, OK, we've got to stop them kicking another goal. I'm going to go down and impose.
That's all he's going to do, because if St Kilda get it forward from here, Collingwood have just got the extra brick wall across halfback.
Margin 22 points. Blake grabbed by Ball. As it turns out, he took it out of the ruck, so Ball gets the free kick. The two mates, Revolt standing the mark, Ball kicking inside the forward 50 cloak. Juggles it. 25 metres out, directly in front. And this could be a knee trembler.
You wonder how that matchup can be. He was against Peake. I mean, he's always going to outreach Peake. Just somehow or other, Peake was covering for his Collingwood defensive opponent, but he's not going to be able to stop Cloak overhead.
How big is this kick? Travis Cloak. They're all big, but gee, the margin currently at 22 points. The game's largest lead. This to put it out to 28, less than a minute out from half-time. Travis Cloak kicks. Oh dear.
Well, it's a big talking point. It always is. There was one moment where the pick wasn't tall enough, was he? with Cloak, he was completely outsized, wasn't he?
It was a big shot, wasn't it? 20 metres out straight in front for a 28-point lead.
And you think of Cam Mooney and other blokes. I mean, there's been a lot of those in big grand finals, but Collingwood at the moment with a pretty healthy lead. Maxwell belching back. St Kilda certainly on the back foot, retreating for the moment, just hanging on. Eddie kicks it as hard as he can to a contest. Milnes had little impact, kicked an early goal, bolted brilliantly to Maxwell. And then Maxwell floats it back into those tall forwards. Dawes split the pack. Cloak. Well,
oh no.
It's the nightmare, isn't it? They're in front, they've got a good lead.
Yeah, they're just dominating, aren't they, Collingwood? I mean, again, it was a 3 St Kilda defenders against 2 Collingwood forwards, but the third player is not impacting the game. They might be spoiling, but they're just not able to use that number to give the extra rebound.
Well, we've seen it before. I mean, there are days when you figure Travis Cloak could get a lucrative contract for saying he doesn't kick with a particular boot. There's the siren for half-time, as if on cue. Baker finishes with the football. Collingwood finish with the lead. They're out by 24. It should have been much bigger. St Kilda stormed back in the second half of the first term, but that term belonged to Collingwood. That man yet to fire. Quarter time then the margin was 6 points. It's now 24 points. Collingwood trying to make history, trying to win their first premiership since 1990. 7-8-50 to 4-2-26 in the grand final.
Sure, I will sit and watch and see what will come.
So Collingwood back out to half-time. certainly in the second term controlling the game. They lead by 24 points. It's 7-8 to 4-2 after they led by 6 at quarter time, 4-2 to 3-2. And now the Saints with a lot of work to do. Second quarter no good for them. The best time in this game was about the 15 minutes before quarter time when they were down but fought back to get within a goal after trailing by 22 points. Down on the boundary now, Tim Watson and Matthew Richardson. Tim, any news on Alan Didak? He finished out the term okay, but he had a heavy collision with Zach Dawson.
He did, Dennis, and he really got shaken up there at one stage during that second quarter. I want to show you some vision. Here it is. He goes for the ball here, just one hand reaches out. He gets cleaned up by Dawson, and then they sense they've got a wounded Pye under there, and the St Kilda players piled in on top of him. After that, he was very quiet in that second quarter, Didak. Only had about one touch in that second quarter. Also, Wellingham went off the ground with a bit of an injury. He's come back on, but he was important in that second quarter because he was keeping Hayes in check.
OK, Richo, the Saints appear to be in desperate trouble. Travis Cloke kicks straight to end that term, and the game is almost gone. What can they do, this group, to get back into it?
Well, they had a loose man back most of that quarter. They allowed Collingwood to outnumber them around the ball. While it worked as in Collingwood didn't blow them away, they couldn't score themselves. So they need to go more traditional, one-on-one around the ground and see if they can score some goals, because at the moment the loose man backs restricting scoring, but they can't score themselves.
That really has been a hallmark of their football, particularly against top sides. Rarely do they break the shackles, and some of those shackles are self-imposed for the Saints. Just 4 goals to half-time in a grand final. And still nothing has changed, Tom Harley. This man holds the key.
He's just starved of opportunities at the moment. It's 4 inside 50s in a quarter. It's just not going to cut it. The one goal they did kick was Justin Kaczynski, and it wasn't even an inside 50 in itself. It was from outside. So the side, I mean, it goes without saying. The side that can play the ball in their front half for longer periods of time generally wins the game, and we know that's been Collingwood's strength all year.
Dale Thomas having a very good game, 14 possessions. Dane Swan has got 13. Benny Hayes 15, but 10 of those in the opening term. Montagna 14. Goddard leads all comers with 16.
Sam Gilbert's actually gone forward for the Saints, so there's a bit of a wild card already from Ross Lyon.
Well, Saints, as we say, needing the opening goal right here, otherwise they're in desperate trouble. Going after the ball, Pendlebury, bit of a fumble, taken to ground, jarred out of there, taken by Jones, smothered by Ball, flies high in the air, not a mark obviously. Goddard took it, they took him off the ball. Pendlebury held down by Mill, Montagna and Thomas. In goes Johnson. Meantime, umpire tosses the footy up, thumped forward by Kaczynski, inside the forward 50, going back. Maxwell did brilliantly, controlled it to his own advantage, then got a lucky bounce at least initially, tracking it back outside the forward 50 for the Saints. Jones goes to Fisher, high ball, Maxwell comes hard, double fists it down in front, Ray tackle from behind, slung by Swan. After the football goes Ball, Pendlebury took a while, went to the voice supplied by Swan, can't get through there, took Hayes on, heard the umpire say that, no doubting it. Hayes gets the free kick.
Just see a bit of fisticuffs before the just after the first bounce, but I reckon Sam Gilbert going forward, he is a good aerialist, but what he will bring is forward pressure. He didn't stick that tackle, but he provided the stick in for the St Kilda Footy Club.
So Graham's high ball off the ground. I think Del Santos are behind.
I think that's the point that Richo made just before they started the third quarter. They put a lot of resources into protecting their back third, St Kilda, but they've actually got to be better in their contested footy, the clearances, and kick it forward. Try just get it into their scoring zone.
It was their first score in 23 minutes, the Saints. They were stuck on 4-2 for much of the second term after the Cozzy goal.
At least they've got the opportunity now. The ball's in their front half, so they've just got to keep it there. They've got to win it at the contest. They've just got to be hard, stick the tackles, and when the opportunity arises, get it forward. Try and get Nick Riewoldt in a one-on-one situation. Just see him on screen there.
So Kaczynski, jolly in late, did very well. Thomas again, improvising. Goddard, back to Kaczynski, and then a high ball to about 55 metres. O'Brien read it well. Milne with him, and then Thomas to Maxwell, 2 of the stars in the first half. Back to centre wing. Well done, Dawes, to make a contest. Brown, McCaffer, Cloke, good hands. Didak, clever to Cloke, and then Cloke to space, and running hard, Dawes. He's worked a long way back. Pete Cartwright, yes he does. He does get back. It was the last man standing.
It was the foot race, wasn't it?
Last one standing, Bruce.
That's it.
we talk a lot about effective disposals. Any kick forward or any hand pass forward is almost effective today because that's the kind of pressure they're coping with.
Peak kicks it in. Now St Kilda have conceded 5 rush behinds. That's quite a total. Gilbert takes a good mark at left half back.
Does confuse the accuracy ratings, doesn't it?
Does.
When you say that. So it's actually 7-3 off the boot.
Gilbert, the high one to the wing. Revolt attracts a crowd, almost the mark in front. Reid couldn't bring it down. Now he's got a problem. Peeling off is Milne, kicks inside the forward 50. Kazitsky comes at it, needs to control it, does. Just keeps it in, goes back to Revolt. What about that running? Moments ago in the pack at the interchange gates. Took off. He would have won the half-time relay.
What was a good result for St Kilda on that situation is Dal Santo is actually playing forward. Nick Maxwell's going to Dal Santo. Just hear the blood rule here. Nathan Brown. But he's actually, almost by reputation, he's drawing Maxwell to him. Normally in that situation when they bring the ball back in St Kilda, Maxwell or O'Brien's there, but because of the quality of Dal Santo as a player, Nick Maxwell drawn to his direct opponent.
So Revolt, just the one goal. It was a beauty from long range on the opposite side of the ground. There's Brown getting fixed up, sort of. But all eyes on this man. Revolt. Can he inspire his team? Yes, he can. That's the goal they needed. Can they unlock this defence of Collingwood?
Just have a look at this. This is absolutely Nick Revolt on his hands and knees from the contest, but like we saw in the freeze cam before the start of the game, look at the work rate. Just see him on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, just to work back like that. Huge tank for a man of 6'5" in the old.
He's the only multiple goal scorer in the match, and they get within 3 goals. Fisher runs into a dead end, but manages to get a little kick away. O'Brien read it well. He took a chance. Off he went to Johnson, and then Johnson on that trusty left foot's a good kick to side bottom at half forward.
He's been good.
He's a terrific combative footballer, isn't he? I mean, he's great in the contest side bottom. Bangs it long. Dawson was a good fly. Belted it away. Beams, clever. Well done to Pendlebury. Hooking back. Thomas. Couldn't quite. Goddard couldn't quite either.
No poor opportunity.
Could just see Daisy lighting up there.
Well, he tried to force another behind, I think, so they need to be a bit careful. Don't just give them away. Although that was a bit hectic. So this bounce virtually on the kickoff line. Kazitsky camped underneath it. Fisher comes through, knocks it to his own advantage across to Hayes. Hayes kicks it towards right half back. Johnson in a speedster all day. Can he keep it in? Well, he does, but to the advantage of Montagna. Goes to Graham. Graham, well done by Johnson. 4 to draw despite being outnumbered. Boundary throw in. 51 plays 33. Early going 3rd term in the grand final at the MCG in Australia.
Kazitsky, jolly won at Wellingham. Dal Santo, good hands. Jones doesn't get much on it. Swan and Goddard. Goddard probably won the battle and then brought down in the tackle.
You can see how players have reacted to the pressure. They are now just kicking the ball forward.
Yep.
I mean, this is if you get the ball 20 metres forward. Craig Kelly, 1990 premiership player. Kevin Rose, ex-president of Collingwood.
Getting nostalgic there, Lee.
Yeah, one of my boys.
Almost a tear in the eye, Lee. Thomas winding up and kicking out of bounds on the foot.
I'll tell you what, St Kilda have responded really well to half-time. It seems a genuine lift in intensity around the ball. And what Lee's saying, they're just getting the ball. They're winning some of the crucial contests and moving the ball forward.
They play a sort of game, though. You wonder if they can maintain it for the whole second half. The Saints. It's an energy-sapping game they play. Not this bit. Gwilt, Kazitsky out wide.
I like this move. I like Gilbert.
Gilbert on.
Kazitsky, interesting kick. Gilbert. Oh, well done, Maxwell. It was his fist with the left hand. Got it out of bounds, the captain.
We've often talked about should Kazitsky spend more time in the ruck for St Kilda. Well, I think he's going to in this second half. They're just going to try and use him as a bit of a weapon around the ground as well as the ruck work.
Seen it a few times this year, though. The Saints box themselves into a corner, and there's no margin for error as Jones takes it across the boundary line. Let's go down to Richo.
Yeah, just a good start from the St Kilda forward line. They look a lot more dangerous. Gilbert has been leading from logo to logo, wing to wing. It's made Nick Maxwell accountable. He's led that hard. Maxwell has to go with him.
Jolly Battling with Kozetski over the football. Tuvey taken down. Wellingham, who was limping just before half-time, was rolling right there. Pendlebury feeds it out nicely. Side bottom, nowhere to go. Boundary throw in.
It's one of those moments where next goal tells such a tale, doesn't it?
Yep.
Couple of changes. Farron Ray is trying to take the Swan matchup now.
So Thomas was the fourth man up. Goddard trying to be third. Side bottom forward. Well taken, Brown. And releases Dawes, who can't get the angle right. So 7-10 Collingwood. A lot of them rushed, as we've told you.
Just playing the ball in their half at the moment, Collingwood. About 3 or 4 minutes ago, Kozetski had the opportunity to get the ball to Gilbert, and they were away, but the kick was a turnover. It allowed Maxwell to get back into the contest. So got to make and take their opportunities, St Kilda.
Collingwood have done well there. They've forced Fisher to kick badly.
Well done.
And O'Brien, for not the first time, accelerated better than anybody else into the ball.
Plays on, aided by Shepherd on the mark from Shaw. Kicks inside the forward 50. Goddard trying to lift his team. Went to Jones. Dempster under pressure. Gives this one some elevation. Clever kick as it turns out. Blake has taken the mark at left half back. Game in the balance despite that scoreline. Saints invigorated by half-time. Oh, that's a terrible kick. Straight to Wellingham. Thought about a short one. Decides against it. Well, that's still pretty short. Didak. Bit of a fitness test right there for Alan Didak.
Just back 2 metres, 2 metres. Thank you, mate, that's it.
He's in right half forward. Kicked a magnificent goal in the opening term to side bottom. Side bottom along the line to Cloak. Okay, the angle opens up for the left footer. His kicking has been poor today.
Did a good job, Hayes, actually, to block the more central leading space, but the only space to go was out wide on an acute angle.
Oh, Lee Brown comes across.
You can tell he's been a goal kicker in the second half of the year.
What I do here. So Cloak.
Uses the bounce well, Lee Brown, normally, doesn't he?
Yes, last week. Better than right angles. But Cloak, who moves it left to right. In he comes. Well, this one stays on a straight line. They compete in the goal square. And the Saints concede another behind.
Hard shot, but Cloak's had 4 shots on goal for 1. Dawes has had 3 shots on goal for none. But it may mean nothing in the end. But it's 7-11 to 5-3. Still, St Kilda very much in the contest.
Trouble is when you concede it behind you, you get the ball back for a kick in, but getting it out of this part of the ground is terribly hard against Collingwood.
Got to touch it. Got to touch it.
Did he play on? No.
So Brown he's in the same pocket as Cloak a moment ago. Now he kicks to about 20 metres. Jolly gets rid of his man, and it's a free kick to Goddard.
Can't just move him out the way, mate. It's a hole.
So Goddard, who kicked the ball in a moment ago, now gets it to Schneider, and Schneider kicks the ball out on the full. Tim?
We've got a real problem at the moment. Gardner looks injured. He hasn't reappeared on the ground yet. They've started with Cozzy. He changed with Blake. That last kick in from Goddard a couple of moments ago, they don't actually have a really tall target out there on the ground at the moment. Gardner's off the ground, so too is Kozetski.
Collingwood wasted. Goes out of bounds, but they gain some territory. Boundary throw in, right half forward. There's Gardner. In front, Brown. Following up, Blake. Does well to the advantage of Del Santo. Along the boundary line, Revolt works in front. Well done by Brown. Took him out of the contest. That was Nathan. Gilbert applied a strong tackle on Maxwell. Kept going, Gilbert. Still going, Gilbert. Just across the boundary line. That was terrifically played.
Just highlighted the fact here, that's an absolutely textbook tackle. Pin the arm. He's got a rugby league background, Sam Gilbert. That's his role, obviously. Work hard, present up, but most importantly, when the ball hits the ground, stick to the forward 50 tackles.
So Blake having to do a lot of the ruck work with Cozzy, as Tim told us. Gee, if Gardner couldn't come back, if that's the case, that's when you roll the dice when you don't play the second ruckman, isn't it?
Yeah, so they wouldn't have expected. Yeah, that is exactly it. You play one specialist ruck when he gets injured. Well, that's the end of the that category of player in your team.
So Blake works to the front. And then Brown puts the tackle on.
You get the feeling Blake will be able to compete pretty well with Lee Brown, but I think the ascendancy could go Collingwood's way in a massive way if Darren Jolly's taking the centre hit-ups and around the ground.
And the good story for the Saints, Collingwood hasn't kicked a goal in the second half in 13 minutes of footy. So they've been able to get a hold on them for the moment.
Jones is over the football for the Saints.
You'd have to be thinking Kazitsky versus Jolly will be the ruck combination, and Blake will take the minutes against Brown.
And if you were the Saints, you would orchestrate it that way, Lee?
Absolutely, yeah.
There's the bounce, 60 metres out, knocked down by Blake, charging into the pack, Wellingham. Umpire will do it again.
And what you'd have to be doing, as happened for the build-up to the re-rolled goal, when Kazitsky's on the ball, you have to try and get him into the forward line and, you know, be an extra goal kicker rather than just a ruckman floating behind play.
It's like a tug-of-war at the moment. Off hands, Reid slings it out, brilliantly done. Wellingham's away, runs to the wing, looks inside the forward 50, hugs the boundary line. McCaffer, well, did the hard stuff, got to the footy and slipped out of his grasp.
Just see Blake go off the ground when Lee Brown went off, and Kazitsky now with Darren Jolly. The one that Collingwood will need to be aware of in that situation when Blake's rucking is obviously the third man up, and Brendan Goddard looks like the most likely Saint to do that role.
Jolly just won the tap, and then ball held up by McWalter.
Brendan Goddard, keep your knees out of it.
Wow.
Free kick, Luke Ball. Nah, not on.
Well, you heard.
Not on.
Razor Ray, Chamberlain. So against Goddard now, backtracking O'Brien to Didak, and then Didak a high one to about 30 metres. Baker caught underneath with Fisher, and Baker takes the mark.
And that's
Fisher
what they have to do with the extra man back. You have to mark it. In the second quarter, all they were doing was spoiling, and there's no rebound.
Fisher almost shielding for him there in a way, wasn't he? So Goddard, uncertain, and then goes long. Maxwell's in the box seat. He reads it so well, but Goddard didn't want to cough it up, but in the end he was forced. So Maxwell happy to go to O'Brien. Now Jolly working off Kazitsky here, and Swan running hard as well.
Nice kick. Jolly at the interchange gates. Not much up ahead. Jolly goes to Swan. Swan wheels around just outside the half-forward line. Ill-directed. Poor kick. Getting back McWalter. So McWalter across half-back. The side down by 20 points halfway through the third term. Little chip pass to Gilbert. Trying to give some life to the forward line. Revolt should get this one, and he does. He's 60 metres out. Very open forward line. Collingwood have got a couple of extras. In fact, yes, 2. For a moment it was 3. Back inside that defensive 50. Revolt unloads then. Kazitsky is the target. Up in front, the mark is taken by Goddard. Goddard moments ago was in a back pocket. Certainly one of the stars of the competition. And together with Revolt realises they've got a huge responsibility. Goddard just ghosting across in front of the pack. Watch this reaction.
The real hide in the contest was Kazitsky, though. He got forward as he has to, and that allowed Goddard just to float into the pack.
I didn't know what was coming. I think I'm a clairvoyant. There goes the kick. And he puts it through to Goddard. Terrific.
He took almost mark of the year, but that's as important a one as he's taken all year. The good thing for the you've always got to have hope in a grand final, and that scoreboard gives St Kilda hope, doesn't it?
Yep.
14 points after it was 24 at half-time. So Jolly wins it clearly, but the Hayes clearance puts the Saints forward.
A beauty! Yes, he has.
And you know who he is.
That's great, isn't it? Forward footy. Forward footy just means under pressure games, get the ball forward and give your players forward of the footy who have to be in front. That is just a magnificent contested mark, isn't it?
3 players involved. The Goddard goal before, Hayes to Revolt. They're the 3 keys for St Kilda to get back into this game.
Well, listen to the roar if he can dob this. He's kicked 2. He hasn't. He hasn't brought it back. He needed to.
Big call by the umpire too. That could well have been 50. There's Johnson in the back pocket and in the bright sunshine. Just a glorious Melbourne day. Johnson around the boundary, drives it towards the wing, over the top, Cloak, almost. Slick hands by Ball. Swan in trouble, feeds it forward, knocked on by Beams. Davis, can he lift? They need him. Oh, that's terrible. Just coughed it up, goes back in, tries to knock it forward, spills to Didak, to Davis. Davis along the boundary line, over the head of Sidebottom, and walking it across the line is Gwilt.
You just sensed if St Kilda could have taken the ball off them when they had that opportunity when Leon Davis caused the turnover with the hand pass. If you can get some sort of rebound from a turnover and get the ball inside your forward 50, that's obviously the quickest way to go.
Hayes clean possession after the boundary throw in. Gives it to Peake to midfield. All Collingwood at the back, although Revolt, half chance, taken away by Shaw. He's been terrific, comes out to Maxwell.
So is his captain, so Maxwell goes long, doors the target. Goddard seemingly everywhere. Dawson and Davis. Brilliant pick up, Davis. Looked at his back too. Peake, no free kick to Davis. Ball hasn't quite got out. Gwilt, Collingwood still with a chance. McWalter, well done. Just hacks it forward. Collingwood, though, read it best. Revolt held up. Shaw takes the mark. I think Collingwood know they're being very heavily challenged here. They're trying to respond. They need a little more breathing space to feel comfortable. Here's O'Brien. That galloping action as he kicks to half forward. Beams and also Dempster. And Dempster happy to see it roll away. Still no impact from Davis today. Half chances.
Fair case to answer for, I think, Eddie.
Yep. Boundary throw in. Again, clean possession, Hayes. Oh, he got rid of it just in the nick of time. Graham kicks outside the defensive 50. Eddie, been a quiet player. Hand pass forward, taken by Swan. Swan, lucky. Well, it bounces back to Eddie. Well done. Got a hand pass to Jones. He was slung. Jarred out of there. Schneider. Now the run of Goddard. Through midfield, Goddard. Well, he hand passed, I think, intended for Blake. Hard to tell. It was a shocker. Blake wasn't watching. In goes Shaw of Collingwood. Taken front on by Montagna. Peake grabs the football. Nothing doing. We'll have a ball up just inside the centre square.
Open up them Collingwood, but just, mistimed the handball.
Had to hand pass because Nick Maxwell was by himself in the St Kilda forward line. So that visual pressure again, it just caused a turnover.
I reckon that's the hottest the footy's been all day, that moment. The Saints go forward, Revolt and Brown, Gilbert lurking, Maxwell getting back. Kept his head over at Maxwell. The handball forward, Schneider, can't quite break it. Gilbert, he's got it! They're in this now.
Hot game. He's been really important, Sam Gilbert, being able to lock the ball inside. He's matching Nick Revolt for work rate, so now they've got two hard workers. I'll tell you what, it's a pretty warm day here today in the MCG, so the heat's on the game. The endurance of the players is going to be paramount in this last quarter and a half.
Margin 7 points. Jolly decisively down to Swan. McWalter goes after it. Tuvey's in there, gets a hand on the footy and ties it up. So that was a very important goal, that last one. His second goal of the season for Gilbert. His first ever in a final. Richo?
The other important move has been Goddard, who's been starting forward, then going behind the ball and giving them heaps of overlap and run. He's on the bench now, just having a rub. He'll be back on soon.
Shaw building forward and Davis accelerating, keeps his feet. Important to Thomas, brilliantly done. And then Daisy should have walked it home and he's missed badly.
Well, that was one of those occasions where you could have straightened up and Hexley will have it. We'll see. It's a terrific aerial view. He ran and tried to kick the ball across his body. Straightening up, drop punt from 20 metres would have been a certainty.
I haven't seen them rattled all day. Now, I'm not saying that's rattled, but there wasn't much poise there with Thomas running in.
He rushed himself, had more time and rushed himself.
So Gwilt to himself. I reckon Travis Cloak's thinking, gee, I hope we get the next goal. He just missed those couple before half-time. Thomas misses an easy one. Jolly.
We see time and time again in games when sides are from behind, they work so hard to get to the line, get to an even playing field. That's what St Kilda have been doing since the start of the game, so you just wonder how much energy has been used to get back into this stage.
Collingwood's last 9 scores have been 1 goal, 8. Now, we know a few rushed, but a few missed as well.
They've rushed 6, Bruce. One the other way.
And Cloak missed a couple and Thomas missed a sitter. So Blake conceding back. Well, the Saints like this scoreline, don't they? They like them 54s to 46s. Now, they've been able to get this to happen for about the first time today.
Dawson on the other side. Not much up ahead.
He had Eddie on a bit quicker if he could just wield and went as soon as he received the ball.
Not his best effort. Hard one to mark. Nobody touched it. Falls behind Montagna. Overran it. Bad luck for him. Grabbed by Reed. Back to the wing. Side bottom from behind. It falls in front. Johnson applies a tackle. Ball held to Schneider. And a bounce. Michael Malthouse in his 46th final. His 6th grand final. Looking for his 3rd premiership. Umpires have been pretty good today. Brown had it, lost it. Montagna could have almost been held, and then Shaw gets the free kick taken high. Just need a bit of luck in this sort of game. Shaw on the outer side. Such a feisty player. Clock running down to 3/4 time, Bruce.
Running hard, Shaw, and then going long to half forward. Dawes, now Dempster at the back. Good hands, Del Santo, Hayes. Off one step, basically. Collingwood with all the numbers, though, and Shaw takes an uncontested mark. Such a history, the Shaw family. Ray Shaw, his father, Reese's brother, Tony's uncle. Mainly defeats, but one glorious victory amongst them all in 1990. Hayes makes the mark.
Looking more and more like St Kilda that we know they've been able to. Collingwood actually have treated then Shaw before going forward, enabling the original press, which was the St Kilda press from last year, to set up and take the ball back off the opposition.
And they've done all this with Gardner on the bench. Without a recognised ruckman really there. Montagna held Wellingham up. Shaw's having a terrific match. Kicks the ball forward. McCaffer, almost a great mark. Kicks to fall forward. Fisher getting back. Red at best. And he's got a short one on.
Just got it there in the nick of time.
Dawson just makes you nervous, doesn't he?
He wasn't going to go forward into the footy. He just had to get there slightly before the Collingwood defender, or forward defender.
Blair was the man who was closing. Kick to the outer side. Goddard. Shades of Tim Watson. Thomas does brilliantly, although nothing Shaw could do.
All year we talk about structures and zones and setups and formation. This is a man-to-man game, as most grand finals end up being, which is why the team that can win the ball in the crunches and just play forward, long-kicking footy often is the side that will win.
Collingwood's last premiership captain, inducted into the Hall of Fame of the AFL this season, working on 3AW, Tony Shaw. Look at Goddard, he's giving it everything. Along the boundary line, Brown. Across on the angle, Jones. Montagna, Del Santo. That was slick. Well played, the Saints. Jones bounces it down towards half-court. Milne hasn't seen a lot of the football. Johnson now leads. Needs the ball to sit, Johnson. Keeps it in front. Schneider trying to worry him out of it. All worrying times for the defender. Things were turned around. Good result for Collingwood.
That was the one-on-one you're talking about,
Well, you've got to just kick it forward. That's the way. You've got to react to the way the game's being played. And this game is get the ball out of congestion and get it forward. Don't create the turnover in tight.
Maxwell did the ruck work. O'Brien put the tackle on. Milne's had little impact, but he's done a couple of good kicks along the line in this quarter.
The other thing we're sensing is just that bit of play over on the wing before the ball went forward, that there was more St Kilda jumpers seem to be where they needed to be. At the moment, they're starting to get numbers to the contest.
That hope and energy, Lee, you were talking about before.
Blake laid it down. Gilbert's so important in this quarter. Peak with pace, and then from 50, and kicking the ball forward for a behind. Peak's run could be very important, I reckon, in the last quarter. So this game tightening.
They recruited for that after last year's grand final. Love it, of course. We know what happened there. And Peak, just to get that outside run, that's a terrific mark in front by Jolly. Speaking of recruits,
these one-on-one contests all over the ground are going to be extremely important, the ones who can stand up and win the ball.
Jolly takes something off the kick. Cloak on the lead. Gwilt step to step. Beams the crumb. Kicks inside the forward 50. 2-on-1. Oh, that was terrific work there by McCaffer. He grounded Graham, and the mark was taken by Thomas. Goes short. Blair. 50. Oh, come on. No, apparently not. Ray is a Ray.
Zach!
Says no 50. Blair's just a little guy. He's easy to knock over. Well, I don't know about you, Lee, but...
No, I thought Blair was trying to convince the umpire it was a 50 more than it actually was a 50, Dennis. That's why I saw it on replay.
Oh, no doubt about that. He was trying to convince him. Well, fine him then. He was acting. Keanu Reeves. Here comes the kick from Blair. Oh, he's hit the post. Gee whiz, not even Vince McMahon could make this game predictable.
13 inside 50s for Collingwood for no goal.
How long have we been talking about Collingwood's accuracy this year? Now suddenly it's starting to become a factor, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, a couple of the misses early was probably the game style, working along the boundary, but they have had some set shots and obviously running in before half-time with Cloak and have missed some sodas.
Jolly over the top. Ball got it down to O'Brien. Hugs the boundary line. Jolly getting back. Good contest. Well done at the back. Dempster and now Fisher with a bit of a hook. Revolt back on the ground.
Well, that's the jump. Yeah, you talk about misses often the sitters. Obviously, the Cloak one was a sitter from 20 metres out, and then the one when he ran into the open goal and that. I think they've had about 4 gimmies that they haven't kicked.
And they haven't kicked one for a long time. Blair, well done. Didac. Pendlebury got up high. Rode the bump. Fisher took it off him. Didac's interesting. He started well.
He's gone down awkwardly there too, Pendlebury.
He has. He's hurt himself a bit. Jones getting underneath. I feel like a little bit of Didac magic wouldn't go astray right now. They call this the premiership quarter. Well, you reckon the Saints have given themselves a chance?
No doubt. Hayes going to the ground. Swan did brilliantly in a tight situation. Sends it once again inside the forward 50. Beams got hands to it. Dempster's in there. Graham falls on them. And the umpire will ball it up as they creep close to the Magpies to goal with 19 seconds remaining till three-quarter time.
He is good, Swan, and standing up in the tackle, isn't it? Just shrugging the tackle off. That enabled him just to kick the ball in.
Margin 8 points. Jolly reaches over the top, slaps it down. Hayes went to ground. Well done by Wellingham. Turned him on the way down. That's over the shoulder. No, we'll have a ball up.
A lot of pundits said if it's low scoring and close at three-quarter time, around about 45, 50 points, which it is, St Kilda more than half a chance.
Statistically, St Kilda have been much better in last quarters than Collingwood.
So Goddard, that third man up. And then Milne, well, he's conceded, but I don't think it's going to cost them. Well, it's almost a perfect setup, you would think.
Yep.
Reed to bang it back in.
Love it at the other end.
Well, the Saints have done a magnificent job to bring themselves right back. Collingwood goalless in the third quarter, still leading this grand final. It's 55-47. 8 points the margin at three-quarter time.
Well, there's only one quarter to go for the 2010 Toyota AFL Grand Final, and we're still rocking it out here in the Panasonic 3D, better than its live site. Look who's here, Hayden Kennedy, 5-time premiership umpire. Does this feel like it's your 6th time you've been umpiring it?
Simon, this is the closest thing that you'd get. It's absolutely unbelievable. The vision is so clear, it's concise, and it feels as though I'm in there with the boys. It's amazing.
The gang's going off here, I'll tell you. The plasma technology is unbelievable, guys. We'll catch you for the last quarter.
Gripping third term. Magpies lead it by just 8 points after they led by 24 at halftime. So much to play for now. That goes without saying. A lot of force behinds there, rush behind. 7-13, 7-5. 1 quarter to play. Let's go down and perhaps sense the tension in the huddle. Scott Waters is with Matthew Richardson.
Scotty, you're in charge of the back line. They made a few changes in their forward line, notably Gilbert going forward. Did that unsettle you at all?
Oh, probably not. We probably let him get us on the hit up a couple of times, but we've addressed that at three-quarter time. They're taller. They went a bit small late in the quarter with Goddard being their primary target, but we've got a pretty flexible back six.
It's game on. What's the message from Mick to win this game in the last quarter?
Got to run and carry off halfback. We want to switch and spread him a little bit more, and we got a little bit bomby in that quarter. We want to be more specific with our inside 50 kicks.
Nice to kick those goals as well.
Certainly helps, mate.
Cheers. And for those who like a piece of history, back in 1966 at three-quarter time, it was St Kilda who led by 4 points. Let's go down to Tim Watson now. And Tim, which of these two teams is in better shape going into the final quarter?
Well, Dennis, that's a very hard question to answer, but I know at three-quarter time there are a lot of St Kilda players who are down on their haunches and requiring some massaging. Now, Goddard Goddard played a huge third quarter, so too did Lenny Hayes. Lenny Hayes has now had 11 tackles for the game. You can see some vision here. That's from above. A great shot there of what was taking place at the third quarter time break. And a number of the players, as you can see, Hayes down on his haunches, Jones down on his haunches, Peake down on his haunches. A lot of players having their legs worked on. I still think they've got something left in them, the Saints, though.
Well, only one team has come from behind at three-quarter time in the last 25 years to win the grand final. That was last year. The margin was just about the same. It was 7 points. It was Saints that were leading that day.
I wouldn't read too much into that. The clubs are so well drilled and so professional in their preparation. They're just making sure their players are in the best possible shape, not necessarily a reflection of cramp or any of those sorts of situations.
Interesting situation too, Tom, when you talk about being well drilled. Today, when teams have tried to lay the ball off to either O'Brien or Graham, it's been amazing how quickly they've been closed down. Teams are aware of those sorts of things, and these two sides aren't here by coincidence.
No, I think we've seen the game played very much in Collingwood's favour in the first half, but that was definitely St Kilda's quarter. They were able to set up their structures. Lee hit the nail on the head. One-on-one contests have been massive.
And the closer Revolt can play to goal, you reckon the better for St Kilda in this quarter. Obviously, they've got to get it there.
Well, they just scored well from their inside 50. They had 7 inside 50s, and they've got kicked 3 goals. So they're being very economical going forward.
Well, agony and ecstasy in the last 30 minutes for one or the other. Jolly belts it forward. Blair chases it. Side bottom attacks it. Left foot out wide. Montagna read it well. Thomas closes. It's a good play by Montagna. It's a good result for the Saints early.
Great result as a 2-on-1 in Collingwood's favour, but just getting that meterage, which has become so important, helps St Kilda get right back into the game in that third quarter.
Don't be surprised. I think Jolly will try. If he can, he'll jump into and above Kaczynski and just thump it forward whenever possible.
We saw that, didn't we, at that very opening bounce. So Wellingham with that clearance. Blair, Graham, Blair getting down low, Graham. And then Dawes, getting in hard on him.
Some great tackles there in the third quarter. It was 24-14 in St Kilda's favour. Doesn't always indicate the, I guess, the intensity, but they had a lot of the ball, but also sticking the tackle, so they're right back in it.
Jolly with the left hand. Wellingham under pressure. Boot to ball. Didn't go 15. Schneider's over it now. Gets a hand pass back to Wellingham. He kicks inside the forward 50. Couple of Saints there. Son a problem. Fisher, who's been resolute all day, leads back in the race. McCaffer closes. Fisher's kick. Wayward stays in the boundary, however. Not good news for the Saints. Shaw dancing. Comes onto the left boot. Kicks back inside the forward 50. Brown was hanging on. No free. Fisher once more. Loops a hand pass over the top. Jones running out of the space. Feeds it around the boundary. Goddard has been terrific. Wins a hard ball. Kicks along the boundary beyond the wing. Gilbert went forward in the third term. A revelation. Revolt. Tired kick. Goes straight up in the air. Thomas. Well, not straight up. It went 15. Thomas took the mark. Goes short. And McCaffer's got it. Close to the boundary. Just forward of the wing.
He loved that kick back, Revolt. He was trying to build it forward as far as he could, and he couldn't get the angle. McCaffer. Well read. Fisher. It's been a long time since Collingwood kicked a goal. And you think of these two clubs, how many grand finals have been in winning positions, even the Saints. In their last 3 grand finals, they've led at vital stages and haven't won. And Collingwood, well, that's a longer story. We haven't got time for that one. Here's Goddard. So Goddard, favourite for the Norm Smith as we speak, kicks to Revolt. Now Montagna running hard. Blair getting back. Revolt's going to go towards Montagna. And Blair did well. He tracked him all the way.
He knew Montagna was getting in there from kicking a half out, but he got in there as well.
So Revolt, you just love him to getting the marks in scoring positions in this last quarter if you're a Saints fan.
8 points the difference then. Kaczynski slaps it down in front, follows his own ball through it. Across to Milne. No free. Whistle. Now what's the decision?
Holding the ball.
Okay.
Clear it out. Time back on.
Lucky it didn't come to anything. Oh no.
This one here.
I take it all back. He did get his left hand to it. Thomas comes up the ground and takes the mark. Thomas, right half back. He's played a good game too this afternoon. Started particularly well. 22nd possession. Chip to the wing, Wellingham.
This 5 metre corridor to the boundary line. Collingwood are going to that as they do all year.
Goes looking for Brown, knocked away by Fisher. What a game he's played, out of bounds.
So 41 minutes since a Collingwood goal and 15 minutes since a St Kilda goal. Kazitsky, Jolly. Gardner hasn't reappeared after half-time. Swan. Jones chases hard. Those little steps of his to Hayes, and then Hayes down the line. And O'Brien, well, he didn't take the mark. Thomas was behind him.
Tell you what you should be doing now, finding the front position, because most kicks are going to drop a bit short under the fatigue and pressure. So forward of the footy, you've got to be watching your teammates' boot, get into that front spot.
Who can play the percentages the best in this last quarter? Shaw, wonderful game that he's playing. Jones and Shaw, gee, chased his own footy, eh?
You get the feeling that Brendan Goddard's just going to have to do it all. He's always around the stoppage so he can provide that third man up. He's working back into the back half to help out the defence, and obviously very, very lethal going forward.
55, plays 47, wide of the pack. Schneider finds a way through, goes for distance, Dunaward's full forward. Oh, well done. Brown with the chance, backing off him. Brilliant composure.
Playing behind to make sure that Rewalt can't get behind him. So every now and again the ball is going to drop better for Brown than Rewalt.
Brown the high ball, O'Brien backs back, got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Roving and getting the crumb there was the big guy Jolly. Slapped away from O'Brien. Schneider bounces a hand pass to Jones. That was good. Kicks down towards half forward. Kazitsky. The Saints are starting to roll. Kazitsky wheels around. Long down towards full forward. Big pack. Side bottom. So much poise for a young man. Runs the boundary. Beautiful kick. Cloak's got it. Breaking hard is Dawes. This needs to be precise. Dawes takes the mark. Wellingham has got 10 metres on an opponent, but Dawes holds it up forward of the wing.
He's got Pendlebury outside of him, and he's going to go there. And then Pendlebury to Blair, and then Blair sizes it up. There is Wellingham. Well done, Pete. Closing speed important. Gwilt fumbling a little, got it forward. Hayes down low, McWalter, great tackle. Tuvey yet again. Blair kicks to full forward. McCaffer, well done, Baker. Montagna needs the bounce, gets it, keeps the ball in. Good looking kick. Goddard traps it, and then Goddard, well, Rewalt, it's over the top. Swan getting back, doesn't take it cleanly, breaks the tackle, runs hard. That's Swan, isn't it? Now Pendlebury normally uses it. Long kick to Didak. Well done.
That was great play by Sean Dempster.
He was in trouble and he just kept his cool, didn't he?
Just watch him. Initiated the contact and leant in and forced Didak to pull his hand down. That was outstanding defending work.
I reckon one-on-one against Didak gives you a nervous breakdown. He withstood that.
Dempster towards the wing. Gilbert, terrible kick. Awkward for Rewalt. Thomas put the body in, taken high.
Seconds and inches, that kick should have gone to Rewalt, but he just mistimed it.
Nice kick. Cloak just reaches over the top, arrogantly almost, to outmark Montagna, the smaller man. Looks inside the forward 50. Saints with the extra number. Missed down there. Off hands. Fisher once more. They were looking to get it across the boundary line. That was Collingwood going in if they couldn't mark it, but despite the fact they didn't initially, Fisher helps their cause. He puts it out of bounds on the full, so it's coming back. It's with Cloak. Cloak about 65 metres out. Centering kick. Plenty of Saints around the football. Davis flew. Didak's got it. Dragged down immediately. Wilt's been handy so far in this term. Del Santo tackled from behind, ball up.
It's always a dangerous hand pass in the Collingwood forward line. The one backwards, they just swarm so far. You've just got to get it going forward.
So Collingwood pressing. Building forward, Lee Brown. Davis and Dempster. Davis! Well, this would be ironic. He's made a mark on the big stage.
And if you thought the game was on a knife's edge, it was. 18 minutes between goals for either of these teams. 46 minutes since Collingwood's last goal.
A moment of forward class.
Blake knocks it down. Brown a hand pass. Swooping on the loose ball beams. Ball out of the middle. Slips a hand pass away. Shaw on the outer side. Forward of the wing. Inside the forward 50. Saints need the hold. Punched away. Dawson. Met solidly by Pendlebury. Slipped out of there nicely by McCaffer. Opportunity now across half forward for Davis. Slapped away by Jones. Good defence by the Saints. Boundary throw in.
It was interesting. I think it was Nathan Buckley talking about there's a reaction from the Davis goal. He obviously brings a lot of forward pressure and leads the club in inside 50 tackles, but Buckley and Malthouse both stressed he has that uncanny natural ability to do the amazing thing which he's just done there.
Mickey said it takes a good man to play on him, doesn't it? Just that moment that they needed, and they got it. If they'd broken St Kilda's back, you wouldn't have thought yet. Peake, Pendlebury, Tuvey, Revolt in there. They've got to kick 10 goals to win it now, the Saints. They've got to kick at least 10.
Yeah, well, they've got to kick 3 goals from this point onwards, don't they? And that the way the game is going, I mean, goals just look so hard.
Blake, Del Santo, well done, Pendlebury. Thomas, so good. Breaks away, takes a bounce, over the top. Now, Beams is a good goal kicker, but he goes wide to Davis. Gwilt with him. Out of play.
He's been good, Gwilt.
He's played well in big matches. He got a vote against Collingwood in round 3, and he played a ripper against Geelong here when they upset them on a Friday night.
18 possessions for Gwilt. Against the fading light. Sharon came in. Montagna slips it away. Jones on the defensive 50. Baker kicks it up towards the wing. Collingwood there in number. Knocked across the boundary though by Gilbert. Boundary throw in.
Quite amazing. They've only had 28 inside 50 entries, which is terrible. 40's poor, 45's reasonable. But they're still within scoring distance.
Third man up, Goddard. What a game he's played. Del Santo tracks it towards the boundary. Turns on a 5-cent piece. Kicks it down towards the attacking 50. Maxwell has been terrific. Terrible bounce for Milne. O'Brien in desperate trouble. A throw against O'Brien. Good call. O'Brien pleads his case. Watch it again. I think he got his hand to it.
I didn't think it was a
Eddie's got it anyway.
We're on the mark here. Roberts on his line.
As they say, about as big a kick as this kid has had in his life.
Umpire Chamberlain in a very good position to see that. And he said it wasn't a legitimate hand pass. So Eddie forced his way into the team late in the season. Can he repay the favour? It's a beautiful kick. He's hit the post. He's hit the post halfway up.
Jeez, he gave it a good ride.
He's only played 32 games, Eddie. 8 of them have been finals. This is his first grand final, one of 3 Saints doing that today. So Johnson going for distance, and he's got a number. That's a great kick.
Good kick.
That was McCaffrey all on his own, and now Thomas riding the boundary. It's an open Collingwood forward line for a moment. Dawes, Gwilt again. Terrific. To Fisher. To Eddie. Well, he's only had 1 kick a minute ago. Now he's going to have a third. Can he use it? Kicks the ball hard to Revolt, and Schneider takes it. He's too far out, I think. Hayes, he might be too far out, I think. Could Lenny find the distance from here? He's looking for Goddard, I think. Or Graham.
Yeah, Collingwood will be certainly covering those long-range kickers. He's just going to take this on his shoulders himself.
Well, he's a man for a big occasion, we know that, but can he get the distance? He's pumped it hard, he's pumped it long, he's kicked the goal! Lenny Hayes found a metre when he needed it.
Just such a big moment to go on the outer side wing. Collingwood had 2-on-1. They went the long lead, and Gwilt was able to control the football. Had it been crumbed, or had they gone short, Collingwood would have been in scoring range out of the middle. Scrambled down towards half forward by Hayes. Johnson, he's battled hard back there. Socket off the ground by Tuvey. Comes straight to Montagna. Del Santo kicks inside the forward 50. And the mark is taken by Milne.
He played in for the push. He's a good overhead mark, Milne, but on O'Brien you would think O'Brien would be just too big and too strong. just eased him under the football. Eased him under.
One part of the game that's been extraordinary has been small forwards being able to mark the ball in contested situations.
Milne comes in the margin. 1 point. Think about 66 in reverse.
Was it a push?
It was certainly forearms, if not hands.
Yep.
But it was...
Collingwood's led since the first minute of the match. And the Saints haven't been this close since Milne kicked his first goal in the 7-minute mark of the opening term. Baker's kick smothered. So much to play for. That goes without saying, but it's these two teams. Baker falling over, being tackled. Couldn't quite. Fisher. Well done, Hayes. Well done, Tuvey. He's been good at that all day. Hayes couldn't quite again. They're fishing, Saints. Beams can't quite get a leg on it. And then Baker whacks the ball out. And does the ball bounce out? It does.
And it's meterage again. Even Lenny Hayes there trying to will his way through the pack. Stevie Baker gets, there you go, just over 100,000.
Biggest crowd since 1986 to a grand final.
And haven't they been treated to a game? Much more in the dying minutes to look forward to. Jolly to Wellingham. Hard against the boundary line. Kicks towards the 50. Baker peels off. Dives, spills the mark. Swooping on the crumb there, Beams. Coughed it up though. Away comes Hayes. What a game he's played. Hayes off balance. Back to Graham with the outside of the boot. Jolly trying to knock it forward. Succeeds in doing that. Through the legs of Ball. Picked up by Schneider. Schneider the hand pass to Montagna. Back comes Schneider. Hand passes forward. Tracing the pack was Thomas. The 2-13s. With the ball up.
We saw this kind of footy last year, but it was a bit damp and wet. Just the pressure that both sides are applying to the contest has just been amazingly good.
Remember that togetherness at the start of the match?
Yeah.
That commitment? Well, it's come down to this now, hasn't it?
I reckon losing the close grand final last year means nothing until about now.
Yep.
Now with 10 minutes to go, or 8 minutes to go, St Kilda, if they can't find the extra ounce, doesn't mean they can win, but they will find the extra ounce. They know what it's like to lose.
Jolly waits.
Block, Kaczynski. Looked at him and blocked. Play on.
Hayes belting forward. Revolt in the middle. Maxwell tried to get a punch away. Eddie called his name in the last quarter a few times. Slick handball in the back half. Collingwood handballing backwards under pressure.
Now it's the numbers. I think it's been when there's one-on-one contest. You see the free kick here.
Yeah, no, Lennon didn't allow him access to the footy. I think that's a fair enough free.
St Kilda, the ones getting the outnumber now, becomes 2-on-2 and then 3-on-2 in St Kilda's favour.
Still all the time in the world. Just under 8 minutes. Revolt third man up. Opportunity for Ball, head down. Didak couldn't control it. Revolt out of the congestion. It runs on and touched. Maxwell tracking it back. Touching it right on the chalk. Watch it again for a moment. It looks gone. He does brilliantly.
What about the will of Lenny Hayes?
Yeah, nick of time indeed. Nicks all round. Revolt kicked it. Maxwell got back.
Captain's kick, captain's spoil, eh?
That's pressure.
Just mentioned then he got the fall out of it. The will and the contested footy of Lenny Hayes in this second half, as he's done so many times for St Kilda.
Schneider, here is Hayes, belting forward. Got up!
What a drop.
That's his innate ability. He's got that ability to go forward, that real X factor.
You could see the setup, but he took it.
Collingwood has never been behind in this grand final today. The Saints have never been in front until now.
There might be a moment, I reckon, it might be a grand final moment. That is an absolute ripper.
Collingwood have led for 1 hour and 52 minutes. Just short of running a marathon. It is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And St Kilda finishing over the top. Umpire Rosebery calls for it again. What a game. What a mark.
What a player.
Oh, he's been outstanding.
And he's been everywhere, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Every part of the ground he's been playing.
And regardless of the result, you would think he will win the medal. Over the football, Wellingham. There he is again, Goddard trying to will his team on, bullying his team on. McWalter, missed by O'Brien at the back, Shaw. They've got to hold their poise now, Collingwood. Shaw looking for the boundary line. Up comes McCaffer. Oh, wonderful pace. Bit of a cannon behind him. Goddard everywhere. Ran into Fisher. Meantime, Cloak's got the football. And the umpire bringing it back. If you want to know what happened to the kick, it hit the post.
We've often said during the year this is almost Cloak's distance. It's relaxation distance. He's going to be kicking the ball from 50 metres. So
easy for you to say.
Oh, no, for Cloak it is. We've seen so often. He's got the distance. It's a 55-metre kick. And I think he relaxed. He'll kick the ball firmly, and he's got more chance of kicking it straight.
He's the only man in Australia who's relaxed right now.
That was my point. Comparatively. He'll kick from 55. The Army right behind the kick. It's offline. Hasn't got the distance. Not quite. Falls in front. Loose ball. Another conceded behind. Wouldn't it be ironic?
Look who's got the ball in defence. Goddard.
She was an important play by McCaffrey to go on to beat the two. Well, now suddenly the Saints have to hold their nerve. They're in an unusual position. They haven't been there all day.
They are well drilled at obviously controlling the tempo of the game in their back half. That's going to push it to the absolute limit. Execute the skills.
So far, so good. But there's a lot of time on that clock.
Too much time to really start to milk the clock.
A bit of a familiar position compared to 12 months ago.
Yep.
That's where it becomes familiar.
So down that line, Revolt making a contest. Tuvey couldn't quite. Milne. Still with Milne, clever, well done. And then pushing hard forward, Gilbert and Brown. Great mark, Lee Brown. That hurt.
Wonderful.
Commitment of both players. Great mark.
So the blood rule is coming off. 2 years ago, he played 9 games with the Kangaroos, Lee Brown. He looked gone, didn't he? And here he is. Gilbert's done that well in the second half. His competitiveness in the forward 50 as a forward has been so important.
And while the blood rule for Lee Brown, Lenny Hayes is coming off for a minute or so. Del Santo back on. He won't be on for long because they need him out there.
O'Brien with the football. Thomas is loose on our broadcast side. Not spotted. Would have been a long kick and a dangerous one. O'Brien just goes for distance around the outer side wing. Standing on the ground. Jolly. Fourth man in the queue took the mark.
Goddard behind the play here for St Kilda. He's really doing it all.
Jolly to the 50. 3 Saints around the football. Blake dropped the mark. There he is again. Goddard, as you mentioned, slips it across to Gwilt. Gwilt close to the boundary line. Kozetski up in front. Heard the umpire, Kozetski, will get a free kick.
It was the umpire that was behind play that paid that free.
Trying to knock it off, no doubting that. Jolly.
Fair enough.
Beautiful. Kozetski with the football. 4:46 remaining. Saints by 5 points.
St Kilda overloaded that forward flank. They've got all their tall targets down there. Revolt, Gilbert, even Eddie.
One of the great grand finals deserves a big finish. Revolt the flyer.
Wellingham sharking. Gilbert puts one tackle on. Del Santo.
Well, it comes down to this, doesn't it? Long season, comes down to just a few minutes of footy.
And the difference between winning and losing, Lee?
Oh, extreme. Scary screen.
Jolly won it. Blair won it. Jones got into the back, I thought. Montagne's handball didn't go far. Swan was wonderful. To Beams. To side bottom. Long kick to Dawes. Well done, Dawson. Dawes with him. And the ball still in play. Dawes pushing forward. Goddard. Not sure if anyone's played a better grand final than Goddard. Baker. Caught up. Pendlebury. Gwilt's been magnificent. Back to Fisher. Off one step. Gilbert. Maxwell. What a mark. Maxwell's off.
They're all finding something extra now. The short one, Didak, capable of the miracle. Didak goes out wide. Taken by side bottom. Side bottom looks down towards half forward. Nobody near this man. McCaffer runs to the 50. Sets it up. Shaw will fly from behind. Almost got hands to it. Spills out the back. Cloak has kicked the goal. Magpies back in front.
Magnificent handball coming out. Shaw and Cloak involved here. Their two fathers played against each other in the 1980 Grand Final.
But it all started with Maxwell, didn't he? Just the ability to take the big contested mark at halfback.
Is there one more roll of the dice? Can the Saints kick one more? Or can Collingwood hang on? We're back to 1966 in reverse. Jones and Didak.
There is one thing that the Collingwood defenders, I think, do better than any other side is get and really use and orchestrate that free man behind the ball. So they'll send someone back, try to protect this 1 point lead.
And Maxwell's the spare man back. Revolts decide to go onto the ball. Kicks the ball forward. Tuvey breaks the tackle. It didn't stick. Kicks the ball wide. And here goes McQualter and Dawes, who has the distance, I reckon, from here. They've taken their shots all day from here. Had to stick, didn't it?
Yep.
No blocking, no pushing, guys.
He's had 3 shots on goal today and missed them all.
They've all been missing right down this end.
It's a chance. It's straight enough, but it hasn't quite got the distance. I'm not sure if that's a good result.
I think if St Kilda, you'd prefer to be kicking in from fullback than a boundary throw in.
Can't rule out a draw either. St Kilda down by a point. Wrong end of the ground for the Saints though. Jolly battles with Blake, who's been manful. Spills behind the pack. Goddard, the look away hand pass. Dawson, ball jarred out of there. Swan, Shepherd's for side bottom. Has the shot. Off target, going back. Wilt takes the mark.
Got to go.
You've got to go and take the punt, don't you? Otherwise you'll never get out.
Wilt has been terrific. Kicks outside the defence at 50. What a mark! Revolt.
That's one way of getting it out, Lee.
Yeah, trouble is he's about 50 metres from where they would like him now. They want him on the end of this kick.
Just a rolling huddle for St Kilda and Collingwood. Milne and Ben Johnson right down in the forward square for St Kilda.
Goddard the target. O'Brien.
Here we go, 1-1.
Hayes belting the ball forward. Johnson quickly off the mark. Milne at best. Ball bouncing. Scores a level.
Oh, no.
What are you doing next week?
Gee whiz. Do you take the ball there, Stephen Milne?
I think he was going to try and take it. It just bounced out of his reach.
So Johnson belts it as far as he can. He's sure up. Free kick.
Who tipped the draw?
So not the band.
So against Gilbert, Shaw outnumbered. The Saints concede a free. Down the line he goes.
In front, Blake got a fist on it. Knocks it out of bounds. Well, how's this? Scores a level. Boundary throw in at the interchange gates. Collingwood know all about draws in the grand final. What a remarkable game. I think the odds makers would favour a draw. Clean possession is vital here. Thomas tries to slap it out. Kazitsky. In went Tuvey. Tracking the football back towards half-back is Reed. Comes to Del Santo, taken down. 56 seconds to go. Clock stops at 54.
Where's Barry Breen?
This was almost the spot he kicked it from, wasn't it?
It was a bit about probably 40 metres closer to goal, but
that'll do.
Yeah. Surge it forward, both sides. Just surge it forward.
Who can get this kick? Ray belts it forward. Swan chasing Hayes. Montagna kicks to 20 metres. Anything will do for the Saints. Kosicki couldn't quite. O'Brien, Milne, still Milne. Johnson hanging on hard. Well done. Ball still in dispute. Out to Shaw. We had a draw in 1948 and a draw in 1977. Graham hard at it. Blair. And the odds are shortening.
Huge play by Graham. He left his opponent McCaffrey to make the outnumber. If the ball went over the top, the Pies are away.
All St Kilda were trying to do was force it through from that 30 metres out. Great defence by Collingwood.
Have we ever spent 2 hours at the MCG like this before?
I don't think so, Bruce. Montagna kicks inside the 50, punched out. Pendlebury's over the football, down to 15 seconds. Collingwood, they controlling the ball. Thomas to the wing. Jolly knocked away by Blake.
There it is.
Thrown in. I think we've got a draw, ladies and gentlemen.
One last clearance, one last chance. Can somebody get a clear ball here and kick it long and hard? Goddard, the tap. Del Santo. It's going to be a draw. It's unbelievable. But it's happened. A picture paints 1,000 words.
Well, we saw it, what is it now, 1977?
And 48. 1948.
I didn't see 48, but I saw 77, and every player out there is thinking, oh, not again. We don't have to go through this week's tension again.
In 77, Collingwood led by 27 points at three-quarter time. Today, they led by 24 at half-time.
Interesting here, the St Kilda players all getting up. They want to portray a really strong, positive self-image at the moment.
There will be a Norm Smith medalist given today as well as next week.
Remember we said in that, I remember Baron Barassi said to his North Melbourne team, we played bad today and we salvaged the draw. When I think you look at the key stats of the inside 50s, 35 inside 50s in a grand final, perfect conditions for a drawn game means you've salvaged the draw, I reckon.
Let's go down to Richard.
Well, Nick, it's a very eerie, stunned feeling, everyone around the ground. What's your immediate thoughts, mate?
Oh, mate, I don't know if we've ever seen 44 guys go to wall like we just did then. That was amazing. And it's probably going to take this for the AFL to change the rule because it's an absolute joke. There's no way it should be decided after another game. Guys come here for a win or a loss, and that's what we should be leaving with. So we'll look forward to next week, mate, and use the hurt we're feeling now, let a lead go, and we'll come back next week.
What are you going to say to the boys when you get into the rooms?
Mate, I've got no idea. I've got no idea, to be honest. I'm spent.
Oh, mate, good luck getting there and talking.
Thanks, mate.
Collingwood led for an hour and 55, St Kilda for 6 minutes. Well, let's down to Tim Watson.
Well, Brendan, it's an unusual feeling. That's obviously with your group, it's with Collingwood, it's with everybody here in the grandstands at the moment. What's going through your mind?
Oh, mate, I can't begin to explain. It's just boys did really well. They obviously dominated the second quarter, and we just wanted to come out and get back to basics and really fight. A burning desire just wasn't good enough in the end, and geez, I don't know what to say. We're back here next week.
Well, your performance was magnificent today. That's the thing. I mean, you've got to regroup again. You've got to get back here again in a week's time.
Yeah, that's fine. Can't change the rules. Just accept it. Only control the controllables. So, mate, we'll regroup, look at a few things during the week, and recover well. Just wrecked my holiday plans.
Well, you called all the players in together as a group there. What was said?
Just to stay positive. There's obviously a weird feeling, and you feel dejected is the right word. Oh, it was weird. It's a weird feeling, really strange. You can listen to the crowd, mate. 100,000 people just. You probably would never think of this happening. We joked about it during the week, and could probably jinx ourselves in the end.
I know it's not what this game is all about, but you may get the opportunity to win 2 Norm Smith medals in a row.
Do they hand one out today, do they?
They do.
That's a strange thing, but mate, jeez.
Thanks for your time.
It's going to be, it's just going to be build up during the week, and you put so much effort into it, and you know, there's no tomorrow. It was war today, and it's not too often you come back and fight another war a week later. So we're up for it, mate. We're here till the end. We're here till the last second. So all the way.
congratulations on your performance today. Well done. Cheers.
He's a good man to have on your side, that guy, isn't he? Let's go down to Andrew Demetrio, who's with Richo.
Andrew, there's a lot of stunned people around. Where to from here? What happens now?
Well, look, we'll come back next week. We'll have a meeting, which we've always got scheduled as a contingency in about half an hour, and we'll put out a statement about ticketing arrangements and so forth. But there'll be a game here next Saturday at 2:30.
The immediate reaction of some of the players was, that they don't, they were stunned. They want the game. They want a result. Would you ever consider changing this after what's happened now?
Oh, look, we'd have to sit back on the quiet of day, Matthew, and look at that. But, I mean, everyone knew going into this game that there's no time on in Grand Final. We certainly didn't expect the draw, but it was an unbelievable game, and hopefully we'll get a winner next week.
Thanks for your time, Andrew.
Thanks, Matthew.
I think the Norm Smith medal announcement's about to come up. Oh, the two Nicks, eh?
I love that attitude of Brendan Goddard.
Oh, it's great.
That's the attitude. We're coming back next week.
And speaking of Brendan Goddard, I reckon his name's going to be called out in a moment. We don't know, but let's go down to Craig Willis.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here next week at 2:30 at the MCG for a replay of the 2010 Toyota AFL Grand Final. I'm going to invite both captains to say a few words, and I'll start with Nick Maxwell, the captain of the Collingwood Football Club.
Just thank you, 100,000 people, just amazing atmosphere. Thanks for coming along, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Nick. We'll hear from Nick Riewoldt in just a moment, and I think now I'm going to invite a man who was a part of a wonderful West Coast premiership team in 1992 and a Norm Smith medalist in his own right, Peter Matera, to announce the Norm Smith medalist here at this match.
2010 Norm Smith medal for the draw and game, Lenny Hayes.
You have to bear with me. I've lost my voice, but we'll come back next week. Thanks for all the supporters for coming out. See you next week. Thank you.
Lenny Hayes, the Norm Smith medalist. And now let's hear from St Kilda skipper Nick Riewoldt.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Obviously it's pretty unique situation, so I encourage everyone to get back here next week for what I'm sure is going to be a great contest. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll look forward to seeing you all here at the MCG next Saturday for a replay of the 2010 Toyota AFL Grand Final.
So the president with Nathan Buckley and also Nick Maxwell and the coach Michael Malthouse. Yeah, there's a weird old feeling, no doubt about that. Thought Goddard would have got it. Hayes played magnificently. He missed the All-Australian team. He gets a Norm Smith medal. You wouldn't begrudge him that, but geez, the Saints, you just feel like, I mean nothing here next week. You just feel like the Saints right now are really positive, aren't they?
Got a feeling St Kilda are just walking the lab, might even do a few strike-throughs just to get rid of the lack there, because they're now in recovery mode.
Down to you, Tim.
Well, the reason why St Kilda are moving across to the other side of the ground is that for some unknown reason, the rooms are actually flooded downstairs. So at the moment, the players can't actually go into the change rooms where they actually got changed at the beginning of the game. So they're trying to transfer all their clothing, all their belongings across to the old rooms, which are on the other side of the ground, and then they'll do their warm-up down there. Collingwood are going to be faced with the same problem. They haven't left the ground at the moment, but they'll be confronted with exactly the same problem.
Who said the flood was dead?
The press has been replaced by the flood. Well, more to come from the MCG on an unforgettable last Saturday in September.
Go Bank.
That was a moment, wasn't it? The Harry O'Brien goal. They had 9 scoring shots to 1 in that quarter, Collingwood, and the one was Kosicki outside 50, banging a long goal. At half-time, it's a very big lead, isn't it? It could have been more. It's 7 goals 8 to 2 goals 6. And with Lee Matthews, Tom Harley and Brad Johnson at the long break for the half-time show on Grand Final day. Brad, I might start with you. Nick Maxwell and his impact, the Collingwood captain in the back half for them.
Yeah, he's had a super game up to half-time. The St Kilda side are actually trying to get an extra number to him just to try and stop his impact, but he's just been too smart, and he's probably had half a dozen to nearly 10 spoils already in the game.
Yeah, he's been really valuable, and you just see him running away from Nick Revolt there, but to provide him, I think we called it, that visual pressure. Not necessarily electing to mark the ball all that often today, but just get the ball out into space. He's playing a really important game and setting up the defensive structures.
He's been much more effective for Collingwood as that attacking defender than anyone St Kilda can find at this point.
Another player that's coming out of the first half is Dale Thomas. He's kicked an important goal, and he's had an impact.
He sure has had an impact. He was the spark early. He was the one who got him up and going, and he lined up for a big torpedo and floated it through. It's going to be your day when those things happen.
I think he's the player who, Collingwood, what they've done so well this year is link their defence into attack, and he's that player who can carry the ball and run the lines, set up well in the back half early for Collingwood, and he uses the ball so well. I think there have been comparisons to Chris Waring, I think, at one stage, and he's playing that sort of role for Collingwood today.
So we'll have a look at the match stats to half-time. The Saints with so much to do in the second half to get themselves back in the game.
I see the critical one is those inside 50s. Like Collingwood had 21 inside 50s that quarter, partly because they seem to be, St Kilda want to play the extra man in the back 50. That's making it hard for Collingwood to score from the centre corridor. But Collingwood are just winning all the ball around the stoppages because of that extra number, and the ball is being played, the game is being played in Collingwood's forward half.
And you look at the tackles there, 53 to 49. Earlier in the year, Nathan Buckley said in a big game they need 90-plus tackles.
Yeah.
While they're well on the way, and that's what's helping them control the contest at the moment.
The other thing I think Collingwood are doing exceptionally well is the game is being played in a contested situation, but they've been able to get it out, whether it be by a knock-on or a third man up in a contest or a play like that. They've been able to break the lines with the players like Didac and Thomas and those sorts of players to get the ball out into space.
It's a good lead. Normally you lead and win grand finals if you're in front at half-time, but the Saints showed in the first quarter, didn't they, that if they could get the game on their terms, that they could still have an impact here today.
Well, really, when you talk about, I guess, the 4 half quarters, Collingwood had dominated 3 of the half quarters. St Kilda were right late in the first quarter, but really, Collingwood are just winning everywhere.
They'll be relying on last week. Their third quarter, the Saints, was fantastic, so they'll be using that as their motivation in the rooms at the moment.
Just a question to Brad. Travis Cloak had the yips going into the half-time break there. He must be feeling the pressure. It's an easy set shot, then the running goal. As skipper, Nick Maxwell, how do you approach that at half-time?
Oh, look, you just tell him to keep going. He's attacking the ball. He's attacking everything really, really well. Just needs to nail those. His first goal was a ripper. So, use that as your boost to push forward on it.
So Collingwood by 3 goals, 6 and 4 goals in front at half-time in the grand final. Back to the MCG in just a moment. Look at those Collingwood fans in the background there, rejoicing, celebrating. They've got a good lead. Single goal scores, and that's the Collingwood way, isn't it? They spread it around, and so much reliance on those 4 for the Saints, Revolt, Kosicki, Milne and Schneider. Speaking of Nick Revolt, we've been running the best mark of all time competition, and Nick Revolt for that courageous mark of the SCG comes out on top, and Tim Strachan gets the $20,000 for selecting Nick Revolt. So the situation at half-time, so much for the Saints to do. Time now for the Gillette Fusion AFL Grand Final Sprint, and Peter Donegan's your caller.
The Gillette Grand Final Sprint is brought to you by Gillette Fusion. Proven performance even on sensitive skin.
So we're ready to find out who the fastest man is on Grand Final Day of 2010, the Gillette Fusion AFL Grand Final Sprint. And let's take a look at the start list for the final. Jack Redden of Brisbane out of lane 1. Richard Douglas, Adelaide, lane 2. Tim Golds from GWS is in lane 3. From St Kilda, representing the red, white and black, Luke Miles. Daniel Menzel from Geelong. Lewis Jetta from Sydney. Trent McKenzie from the Gold Coast, Ben Nason from Richmond, and Garrick Ibbotson is the man representing Fremantle. And here are the runners. Jack Redden, 19 years of age, originally from Glenelg in South Australia. Richard Douglas, the oldest man in the field, from Adelaide at 23. What a moment for the 17-year-old from GWS. Tim Gold's out there with some of the stars. Luke Miles from St Kilda, very impressive in the heat. Daniel Menzel from Geelong. Lewis Jetta had plenty in reserve in his heat. Trent McKenzie from the Gold Coast. Ben Nason, you won't miss the flowing locks, and you won't miss the wheels of Garrick Ibbotson with the fluorescent orange runners. Who's going to fly on Grand Final Day 2010? We're just about ready for a start in the Gillette Fusion AFL Grand Final Sprint. Away they go. Good start from Ibbotson on the far side. Jetta going quickly early, and here comes Miles, and young Gold's through in the centre. Jetta just in front. Miles has got him. Gold's coming at them. Miles has the lead. Victory for St Kilda again. Back to back they go. Luke Miles wins from Tim Golds and Lewis Jetta in the Grand Final Sprint of 2010. So a bit of joy for the red, white and black with Luke Miles, the 23-year-old originally from Swan Districts in Western Australia. Former rookie listed player. Lewis Jetta got the great start, but it was here that Miles began overhauling him. And what about the 17-year-old Tim Golds making a real race of it from Trent McKenzie? But with the throw in the end, convincingly, it was Luke Miles of St Kilda the winner. Tim Golds of GWS second, and Lewis Jetta from Sydney has finished in third spot. Congratulations to the winner. Luke Miles is the fastest man on the MCG on Grand Final Day 2010, thanks to Gillette Fusion.
So the Saints getting home there. I wonder if they could make a run in the second half. So Luke Miles getting the money there in the Gillette Fusion Sprint. Well, this Grand Final for the first time being televised in 3D. Let's go back to Simon Marshall at the Panasonic site.
Yeah, looking forward to the second half, and look who's in the house at the Panasonic 3D, better than live site. Lukey Hod.
Yeah, Simon, it's great to be here. The pitch has been sensational, and it actually brings you back to the 2008 days.
You look good in the eyewear, mate, but so clear. It's not blurred. It's fantastic. You're right in amongst it.
Exactly right. It actually feels like you're at the game. So as you see, the people behind us are having a great time. It's good to be.
Climmy's here, Brent Guerra, Robbo's here. All the boys are here. Look forward to the second half.
Go Saints!
So what is it about these two clubs? A point back in 1966. Today it's a draw, and we're back next week. Terrific game of football. 9-14 Collingwood. A lot of those behinds rushed as well. We made the point during the course of the game. And St Kilda 10-8. Well, let's sense the mood of the meeting. Firstly, Brad Johnson, what's your reaction?
Oh, one of shock, to be honest, initially. Look, you know, I think St Kilda actually handled it better, Tom. We're talking about that at the end there, but you see them walking into the rooms due to a bit of water damage in the other rooms. That just adds to the discomfort of what has been a tough day for all players.
Well, in a sense, I think the drought has been broken in one of the rooms by the sounds of things, but it sounds like a comediism, that one. But I'm with you, Brad. I was really impressed, in particular, by Brendan Goddard for the way that he handled the drawn game, and just the body language of all the St Kilda players was just absolutely outstanding. So both clubs now with grand final experience, it's going to be a really interesting week.
Remember, we've got to the end of a grand final. Last year St Kilda were feeling horrible, so they felt horrible at the siren. Then all of a sudden they said to themselves, hey, we've got another chance. Amazing. A bit of wind blowing as the storm comes in.
Come from? Look out for the dew, please. You're all right, Tom Harley. My goodness me. So a draw in the grand final. The rooms are flooded. Let's go to Tim Watson. I'm not sure where he is, but he's with Michael Malthouse.
To get the players back up again. You know, do we or don't we? And our rooms are flooded. If you can smell, I think that's either you or the room. So I'm assuming it's
the toilets at first. I can guarantee you that.
So our best case scenario is to get back to Lexus as quick as we can, I reckon, and freshen up and prepare again.
Another whole week of preparation. Have you got it in you?
You have to, don't you? Everyone's got to get up. I mean, everyone's got to get up. This is a great test of mental toughness, stamina. The science divisions from both clubs, and the AFL selling another 100,000 tickets.
Thanks, mate.
OK, let's go with the coaches back-to-back, get their stories. That was Michael Malthouse. Now Richo is with Ross Lyon.
Ross with them in the temporary rooms, can't even get back into the real rooms. It's just an unbelievable feeling. You just had the players into a meeting. What did you say to them?
Oh, look, there's no manual. It's a pretty unique experience, isn't it? I remember as a kid, the 77. And so, look, at the end of the day, there's no second prize. We need to regroup, and every ounce of our being from this moment goes into next week, and we take some strong understanding of what works and what doesn't work against Collingwood. And we'll pick 22 fit and healthy players. We won't take any risks, and you know, we'll go forward and let it rip again. You know, and see if we can get a result. It's unbelievable.
How hard will it be, do you think, to get back up mentally and physically again next week? Huge build-up this week, obviously.
No, I don't think grand finals are hard to get up for. You know, I just think you got to mentally be strong, and we feel we are. I mean, we're in a big hole at half-time. I thought our first quarter was very good, and then our second quarter was pathetic, and then after half-time was really, you know, things to fix up, but a lot went our way, but we really turned our intensity and our tackle and caused turnovers and all those sorts of things. And, you know, we found some things out about, you know, our team, and we just got to regroup. But I suppose mentally we're all in a little bit of shock, but our leaders will lead strongly and prepare, and, you know, we're pretty keen to come next week and rumble again, you know. Yeah.
Now, Gardy spent a fair bit of time on the bench towards the end of the game. Ben McAvoy was the unlucky guy missing out. Is he a chance next week?
Well, certainly. You know, Gardy's obviously in some doubt. He could have come back on, but unless you can run at 100%, AFL, you know what it's like, mate. So McAvoy, it's funny how the world works, isn't it? It works in mysterious ways. So he'll clearly get an opportunity, and there's young Reece Stanley, and there's Geary, and there's Armitage, and, you know, let's lick our wounds, go away and assess, and get going again. You know, it's no choice.
You had some outstanding efforts from some of your senior players, Lenny Hayes and Brendan Goddard in particular. They were outstanding. Yeah, they were very good, weren't they? They sort of impacted the game and almost dragged us across the line, you know. So unfortunately that didn't happen, and they need to do it again. Do we get paid overtime for next week? I think all the function people are happy. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, Richard.
What about you, Tom? You've got to drag that Premiership Cup around again for a week. Here we go. It's starting to rain. This is terrific. It's going to be the mother of all storms after a draw. OK, we'll take a break. If you've just joined us, it's raining at the MCG, and St Kilda and Collingwood have tied in the grand final. There'll be a replay next week. Back right after this.
I have no other way. There is a price to pay for what the man will say, but I was a million miles away in a promise full of steam. It could take no vacant dream to persuade me to believe. I think just don't fight it, don't fight it, don't fight it. If you don't know what it is, if you don't know what it is, I think just don't fight it, don't fight it, don't fight it. If you don't know what it is, if you don't know what
Welcome back to the MCG. Very quiet in the Collingwood rooms. I'm outside the Collingwood rooms. The players are being held behind closed doors at the moment. All their relatives and friends have just started to mill around. Obviously, they've just had word that the players have been shifted from the other side of the ground across to the old change rooms here at the MCG. Mick Malthouse is not here. He did go to the press conference, and this is what he had to say a short time ago.
Mick, does it feel like a win or a loss, or what's the emotion?
Bruce, I can't even answer it. I guess that you're still alive means that you haven't lost.
but you've got to play against it means you haven't won. So does that no, it doesn't answer it. But I can't answer it any better than that.
What do you say to the players after the game?
I would just trying to logistically just trying to get everything sorted. It's very difficult when you've got the rooms the way they are and players getting taken off for drug testing, and you automatically have separation of our group, which is not ideal, but that's can't be helped.
Other finals week they play extra time now. Are you happy with the idea of tooling up and going again next week?
If you had asked me before the game, I would have said it's probably something I'm going to say now, but it's happened before. The grand final. We've always said the grand finals are one where if it's a draw, you play again. So we all know that. That's just that. How often does it happen in AFL history? And it hasn't at all. VFL history, but not AFL history. Has it happened in a draw? No. So it's unique, and we're going to treat it as such.
The one of the issues that's periodically come up for you during the year, again, an issue today with the accuracy of the goal, 9-14 in the end. That third quarter was particularly critical. Is that where it was not lost, but that where the game swung?
Well, we could have taken better chances, but I would say more the case of taking better options through our forward line. We've got the ball in there, no glasses, because I don't know where they are either. 62 to, if I'm reading this right, 35. We've got to be better at using the football into our forward line. And Fisher here, by the way, look at this, is 12 rebounds, and Gwilt 8. There's 20 of those 62 that come straight back over our head. So we've just got to be better at that. I wouldn't have thought kicking for goal lost it. I would have thought option taking it into our forward line did.
Mick, who will be the most important person at the club to get the players up?
Well, I think David Butterford. The players themselves. Just got to bring back as quickly as we can a sense of normality, which is obviously going to be very difficult. There's a function on tonight, do we or don't we? Haven't been in this situation, so it's all new.
If it's your call, do you have a function with?
Oh, if the club's gone through that process of having it set and all that sort of stuff, there's thousands upon people over at the music block. I mean, I don't know, do you go in, do you don't go in? One thing for certain, we don't have to go to tomorrow. It's straight to the club tomorrow, but you blokes look as stunned as what I do. What do you do? So you have to delay your holidays. I mean, that's a fact of life. Who was playing cricket here next week? Anyone?
Lee, you actually played you coached in the last replayed final, which was out at Waverley with the West Coast.
Bit of an omen for Collingwood. The last time they won a grand final was the first Saturday in October after a drawn final. But I'll say what Mick didn't want to say. I think in this day and age, we shouldn't have a draw and a replay. We should have extra time and get a result on grand final day.
100% agree with Lee. I think you come, like Nick Maxwell said, you come to play the game, play to win, expect a result, and the players would feel slightly aggrieved with that.
And I think the way Andrew Demetriou answered Richo's question, I reckon he might be thinking, well, we'll change all of this. Dale Thomas is with Tim Watson.
Well, Daisy, that must be the most unusual feeling. I guess you've been in there with the players now. What is the general mood of the group?
I think the boys are not too dissimilar to each other, mate. Their heads are all over the place. You don't know what to think, but I think the exciting thing is we just re-qualified for a grand final. We'll reload, reboot, and hopefully next week they can get a result.
2 grand finals on the CV. Looks all right too.
It does, mate. 2 wins would have been nicer there, but as I say, we've got the chance again. We've got to do everything right throughout the week and go over this game and get it right.
You didn't lose, but is it a game that you felt like you let slip away?
Oh, yes and no, mate. I think with 3 minutes to go there, it looked like St Kilda were probably going to run over the top of us. So I think to the boys' credit to hang on even that last 30 seconds when the ball was floating around in their goal square there. Just to fight out a draw in the end is real credit. And as I say, another chance, get it right, and hopefully next week you'll be talking to me again.
And the health of the group? I noticed you've got a couple of ice packs on.
Just precautionary, mate, but I think all the boys have got through unscathed, which is nice. I'm not too sure about them, but we'll wait and see.
It's an odd feeling. I mean, even the fact that the rooms have been flooded over the other side to be coming onto the other side of the ground. I mean, there's lots of firsts here tonight.
Mate, it's bizarre, isn't it? That's it.
OK, I'll let you go. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
He played a mighty game, didn't he, with those 26 disposals. By the way, replay grand final will be on 7 next Saturday. Lenny Hayes got the Norm Smith. He had a wonderful game, but Brendan Goddard, what a match he turned on. More from the MCG in just a moment.
There's a place at 21, like it's yours still, hold on to. There's way too many sleepless nights, I toss and turn.
So Blake and Cosy together there. Just got to regroup, don't they? Recover and organise yourself mentally as much as physically.
I honestly think St Kilda are in the better position because they feel better than they did last year.
Yep.
Even though they're not feeling that great.
Does that story of the tape suggest a collywobble or not? And did we see a collywobble today? I'm not sure, but we certainly were in front for nearly 2 hours, weren't they?
The only sign were the missed goals before half-time. The 2 cloak misses were the major ones.
Remember, there were 7 rush, so they've kicked 9 goals, 7, so they haven't exactly been terribly inaccurate off the boot. Missed a couple of easy ones, but so did St Kilda probably.
I feel a bit mean declaring that Brendan Goddard should get the Norm Smith because Lenny Hayes was fantastic, and he missed the All-Australian team and he gets a Norm Smith. He played a magnificent game today.
Well, he's so entitled. He's just his will and his determination. So often when St Kilda are struggling, he just wills them over the line. I mean, he's just doing the hard work, and this is a good example. Just 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th efforts. Goddard was almost the finisher in a way, but he was the guy that I think turned the game in tight.
What I've liked about his game was he moved the ball forward. I think when St Kilda looked vulnerable is when they go back and back, which plays into the hands of the Collingwood force. But he just dribbled the ball, surged it forward, as you said, Lee. So in the clinches, really important.
He'd only kicked 7 goals before today this year. That long goal of his was just he wheeled that home again. That's the way he plays his footy. So the emotion of the aftermath, eh? What a day we've had here at the MCG. Extraordinary. And Revolt, who led so well again today. So did the other Nick Maxwell. The 2 captains can hold their head up high. As we take a break at the MCG, and we'll be back with more right after this.
He acted like he knew me well. I said, no, man, I'm not feeling this. I got ideas for you. He said as he pulled me through. I said, well, thanks, but that ain't me. That's how dark it gets.
Grand final from that margin, and Adelaide were the last. Essendon had done it, and today they didn't quite win at the Saints, but they came from 4 goals back at half-time and got the draw.
It's amazing. Football's incredibly resilient. Half hour after, players are now starting to relax, and they know the task ahead of them. You know, not the shock of a half hour ago.
So, what we didn't expect to be telling you tonight is that we will be back next Saturday with Collingwood and St Kilda here from the MCG. And the selection process will be fascinating, won't they? Absolutely fascinating.
I think it will be. I think the obvious one's going to be the Garden and the McAvoy one. And Ross Lyon did say the world works in mysterious ways sometimes.
And Presty's got another chance. I guess Brown played well today. I felt in Reed.
Well, he did it. Yeah, it's a question if they changed their balance. I mean, their big defenders did OK, Collingwood.
And Leon Davis, probably did he do enough? He kicked that goal, but up until then he hadn't done enough, had he?
No, he didn't. He only had, half a dozen possessions and kicked that terrific goal. But, yeah, no, he'd be nervous going into Thursday night selection, I would have thought.
I wonder how the AFL will play this out. There won't be I don't think there will be any of the traditional AFL build-up things outside of football. It'll basically be a match, I think, with some TV shows around it, don't you think?
Oh, we're all about to find out, Bruce. But one thing about the AFL, they've probably got contingency plans, and we just don't know them just yet.
Now, Michael Gardner hasn't played in a winning grand final team. He played for West Coast when they lost in 05 by less than a kick. He played last year when they lost to Geelong by 12 points, and today he's played in a draw. It may have been his last match. Let's go back and look at some of these unbelievable highlights from the last quarters. It unfolded, the drama of it all.
I think it was in the 3rd quarter. I mean, the first half was all Collingwood's, but they obviously didn't kick those late goals with Travis Cloke. You just sort of sense that St Kilda were able to get their structures right. It did become, as he commented a couple of times, Lee, a one-on-one game, if you like, and Lenny Hayes was the one who exerted the most influence at the stoppage and could surge the ball forward. And then there was some... I mean, Brendan Goddard's game, he was... Although he didn't win the North Smith medal, he was a match... I was going to say winner. Match drawer, if you like. He did the special things.
Well, that put them in front.
And also down the other end of the ground, he saved them on a contest deep here. This might be the baller contest here with Heath Shaw.
The handball that comes out here is absolutely brilliant. You'll see it in a moment. Doors, look at that.
Yeah.
I think maybe we're just seeing the slight next evolution of football. The tackling pressure on the ball carrier is so extreme. I don't think high handball football is here to stay. And I think after a while in the second half, both sides decided the tackling pressure is too much. I just got to kick it forward, get it out of the area.
How many people do you think are going to change their tip? Because Collingwood were the overwhelming favourites, weren't they? Now, you feel like certainly from a contest point of view, a lot of people will be second-guessing now about their Collingwood tip, won't they?
I think St Kilda have probably come out of this better. They were out of the game. A lot of their indicators were down, but they seem like they've handled it pretty well. Their senior players have certainly driven the message quite well out on the ground. And no one really knows how this week pans out.
You would think experienced players, per se, would handle it better than inexperienced players because this is such a shock to what anyone was expecting.
Well, one thing's for certain, when St Kilda played Collingwood in a grand final, they put on a good show. In 1966, they played to that famous one point, that dribble point by Barry Breen, and today it was a Lenny Hayes point so late in the game which drew the match as it turned out. But I feel like we've been through a lot here today. We're going to be back again next week. Have you got the energy, boys?
Imagine what the players feel like.
Well, Dennis is already gargling. He's getting himself ready. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you same time, I think, next week.
And away we go. The grand final is underway. St.Kilda takes him away from goal, feeds it back to Jolly. No shot at the Jolly Waddle.
And Blair, what a story. The only guy on the rookie list. About as tough as it gets for a left footer.
It's untidy, but I think it's good. Oh, this could be a magpie day.
It is a captain's goal. They certainly needed that. Schneider loves a goal in a grand final and delivers.
Harry O'Brien heads the goal, and he's got it.
Saints forward. Oh, a beauty. Gilbert. He's got it. Davis and Dent to Davis. Well, this would be ironic. He's made a mark on the big stage. He's pumped it hard. He's pumped it long. He's kicked the goal. Lenny Hayes. Got it.
Spills out the back.
It's going to be a draw. It's unbelievable. But it's happened. The picture paints 1,000 words.